Hello everybody and welcome to Trackalicious. We have a very special race coming up for you tonight, this evening in the GT4 Rookies and the Open series. My name is Kuja Terekov. Joining me this evening is our good friend and co-commentator, Tyler Morgan. How are you doing tonight, Tyler?
I am excited to see what this lovely stream beholds tonight. I hate driving this track with a burning passion, but man, does it produce some of the craziest stuff known to mankind. And based off, you can see by the title, we are going down under. We are going to Bathurst. The rookies, not so much in a bath, but the Open is definitely a bath.
Yeah, certainly will be. The qualifying is underway down under at Bathurst. Let's head down to the track and see what's going on in the rookies tonight. The rookies starting us off this evening with their two 20-minute races coming up at Bathurst. A double header this evening for them to close out the season. It is the season finale here, round 8. Bathurst season finale coming to a close. A very, very exciting season so far, and they leave it to the end to leave it to the most exciting track here around the mountain at Bathurst.
I honestly does not feel like the season has been very long. It's definitely been a season that has felt like it has flown by. And like for me, we've been through so many different tracks. And for me, it's going to be interesting to see how the rookies especially are going to be able to keep it out of the wall, because Bathurst I just defined as just Monaco but Australia edition. Your track limit, especially in the mountains, are the walls, so you can make those like tiny bumps against the walls, but eventually those will add up. That'll be more of a worry in the Open and less for the rookies, because it'll be two 20-minute sprints for the rookies. And if you're wondering why all the other drivers are in the pits, some of them are doing quali bans or pit lane starts, depending. Wade Gorgonson is one of them. But the evens are out first, and we have significantly less evens than we do odds.
Yes, we sure do. The evens out on track first for the first 10 minutes of the session, and then as soon as that timer hits the 10-minute mark, the odds will be able to roll out and try to complete their fastest lap attempt in the 10 minutes allocated. The track conditions are currently fast, so that'll provide a bit of a challenge to the drivers, a bit more slippery conditions than perhaps they are used to practicing, at least in the practice session more than likely. Joe Allenson is the first of those out on a valid lap at the moment. The number 76 Porsche going down the mountain, approaching Forrest's elbow. The kink at the end of the mountain signifies you're almost done with the lap. Just have the con rod straight to go, followed by the chase. A very quick right-hand corner, followed by a left-right chicane, and then just one corner remains before crossing the line. Let's see how Joe Allenson here in the pink Porsche will handle the chase.
Handles it quite well. I see no problem with that whatsoever. Getting through this little bit of a chicane. We actually had an argument with Erica just the other few days about what defines as a chicane, so the chat can get into this as well. Is like, technically just any left-right is a chicane, even if it's not like labeled as a chicane. So like, you could technically call the entire mountain area just chicanes. So I'm interested to see what chat's thoughts are on the chicane debate. Yes, Doyle, we specifically designed the finale to encourage loads of destruction. And every time someone flips a car, post-stream, obviously, I'm gonna go consume something. Let's just say that. It's a family-friendly show, so.
Yeah, we've got times on the board. Joe Allenson leads the way, has provisional pole for the time being. The time to beat is a 2:14.727. Ryan Eason in the Camaro number 2 slots into second place, about 0.8 off of the time set by the Porsche. Sam Warden is in third, also about 1 second off of the pole position time. Then Vicente Moreira in the 84 Porsche, 4.3 seconds off of pole position, but importantly is able to set a valid lap on the board. Colin Sugg is the last of those even drivers unable to set a valid lap just yet.
I mean, I'd say he has time, but no, you just got to get on his freaking horse, because like he's gonna run out of time, especially with the lap times being like 2+ minutes. You're not gonna have a lot of time, and with the GT4s, they don't have tire blankets, so your tires are just bricks. So, be interesting to see. Doyle redeemed a hydrate and said, "Might as well pregame."
Cheers to that, my friend.
While I'm on stream, I do not want to get fired today.
Cheers to that, my friend. Having a sip of some tea here tonight, as always, providing me a bit of hydration and throat recovery throughout the 3 hours of action throughout the evening, from the rookies to the open. Just over 6 minutes completed in the qualifying session so far. Joe Allenson is in the lead so far, but Colin Sugg, race winner from the season pass, has still yet to set a time. Let's see what time the Porsche can do. Just 3 corners to go, approaching the chase. Just a couple of corners here, flat out through the right-hander as he approaches Murray's corner, the last and final, the 23rd corner of the mountain. What time can Colin Sugg produce? Is it good enough to slot himself in the top 3? Not quite yet. 2.2 seconds off of pole, and that time by Joe Allenson has increased by another nearly 0.7 of a second. A 2:14 flat from the Porsche in front. Sam Warden will go back to the pits. I think that is going to be, unfortunately, his qualifying session done. Colin Sugg, though, still has time for another flying lap attempt.
The keyboard warrior, Hezzy Thomas, has just put down in chat, "I think lying down to wait for my quality lap may have been a mistake." Absolutely it is. You do not want to lay down, because as soon as you lay down, you don't want to get back up. If this Camaro flips right now, I'll actually just cry of laughter, but sadly it does not. That's the one place the Camaro can flip. He drifts a little bit out wide. Again, the struggles of this track is going to get out all drivers, no matter what skill level. You'll see it in the open, and the open is extra spicy tonight with the forecast that I've seen on the board. You get the rookies, and anyone else in this chat will want to stay for that. That's where I'm gonna have the most fun. The rookies is fun and all, because, you know, we're all learning and it's a learning experience. But like the open, oh my, I cannot wait for that as Eason heads down the Conrad Street.
Going down the straight. Just one final sector to go. The sectors are kind of split up into 3 little bits. You have the first straight going up the mountain before the turn 3-4 complex of the cutting, and then you have the entire mountain, which is sector 2, and then you have the Conrad Straight, the chase, and the final corner here, Murray's corner, which Ryan Eason is approaching. Thank you so much for those bits. Much appreciate the support here at Trackalicious. Thanks for watching along, cheering those bits as Ryan Eason is able to improve his time, gets within about 1 second of Joe Allenson with the provisional pole time at the moment, and still able to cross the line before the 10-minute mark. So this will be his last flying lap attempt to try and improve his time. That is Sam Warden back in the pits. Ryan Eason now back into 3rd place, with Colin Sugg producing a great time on his last attempt. Gets up into 2nd position for the time being, a 2:14.697 from the 34 Porsche, and he himself was also able to cross the line before the 10-minute mark. So the 3 out on track. This will be the last flying lap attempt for the even drivers.
Unless they flip the car, hit the wall, track limits, etc., etc. The list can go on about the amount of hostile environment slash, hostile characters that you'll find here at Bathurst. The walls are a little bit already kind of your enemy here, and then you have this track that's just unforgiving. The mental aspect of this has got to be challenging, especially to the rookies, where if this is their first time driving this track, they're definitely, I feel like, going to struggle. And as you can see from the board, we have a bunch of other drivers now on the track.
Yep, we sure do. That 10-minute mark hitting, the odds are now able to go out on their flying lap attempts. A warm-up lap at the beginning, maybe a couple even, with the GT4s not having tire warmers and needing just that little bit of extra time to get everything up to temperature. Colin Sugg back in the pits, so it is just down to Joe Allenson, currently on provisional pole position. Can he improve his time for the other drivers to try and chase down? Oh, and unfortunately messes up the final corner, and that is going to be his flying lap attempt. Unfortunately compromised there. Ryan Eason taking the curb very heavily, and into the wall he goes, also trying to take it to the limit, but not able to improve the lap on his final flying lap attempt. Is this the rookie series? This is the rookie series.
The joys of the rookie series, where you take just a little bit too much curb and you end up in a wall. Like, honestly, probably I can attest to this being in the rookies. You see that delta, you see that it's green, and you try and push just a hair bit, just like, I can get this time, but you just have to remain smooth, you just have to remain steady. You can't look at the get caught delta watching. You got to just drive what you know how to do, and there are some drivers here that know already how to do that. They're just trying to get better at it. And then there are some drivers that'll struggle, and that's fine. Doyle says it's Australia and racetrack form dangerous no matter where you go. Okay, so where's the huntsman spider on this track?
Pretty much anywhere you go, you probably have the possibility of coming face to face with any sort of creature that might want to cause you a bit of harm. Speaking of harm, Brian DeSantiago coming very close to the wall on the exit of Griffin's Corner after the mountain straight, and now charging up the hill, up the mountain goes the 777 BMW. I'm almost interested to see what Hezzy Thomas does at Bathurst with his keyboard. Honestly, that's going to be the best part, is seeing what the keyboard warrior can do through Bathurst. I can only imagine. Colin Sugg said my PC reset ACC after a restart and lost all of his settings. Aww. Oh man, that's always a bummer to hear. And yeah, hopefully you're able to get those all set back to your normal settings and bind everything correctly on the wheel, maybe on the keyboard also, by your side, a button box, if you're so lucky to have one also. And yeah, so hopefully you're able to get those rocking and rolling, because a good time like that is pretty hard to beat. And it looks like we have Colin Sugg disconnecting from the server, so hopefully he will be back.
Yes, Hirsch. He is driving with a keyboard. That's not a joke. That's not a thing. He is actually driving with a keyboard. And props to him. He's managed to actually, not be dead last either. So there's improvement. There's actual, he actually has somewhat comparable pace. It's actually crazy.
Yeah,
as DeSantiago gets to within a second of Allison's provisional pole lap is still standing, which is quite incredible to me.
Yeah, it is still standing. This is the first flying lap on the somewhat warm tires, so maybe just needing another lap to get everything up to temperature. The 157 of Emmanuel Ramirez just now coming out of the pit lane, so maybe this is just part of his strategy, just getting onto those tires and pushing for those 2 laps to get the maximum amount of lap time possible, excuse me.
excusement not necessary as we ride on board with Nicholas Woods in this meme dream team Mercedes. Did the liveries work? It looks like it. Oh my god, it's nothing but memes on that car. No. Someone asked earlier, Diesel, please tell me the paint works now. I don't know who that is in relation to. Is that Hezzy or is that one? I can't remember who he was talking about. Maybe it was the meme team car? I don't know. I'll get that information back to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, we'll take a look for sure, and during the grid rundown, we will check for sure with Hezzy. Let's ride with Hezzy Thomas, our fan favorite keyboard warrior. Yep. It does look like the livery worked in the drop box racing. The number 59 now approaching the mountain, going up the hill with the Ginetta behind for company. Very twitchy inputs there, we can see from the keyboard. Oh, and there goes the wall. 3 of them nearly into the wall. The Camaro, the Ginetta, and the KTM following. All 3 behind. All 3 of them nearly finding the wall. Nicholas Woods in the Mercedes going into the pull-off area at Skyline. And I believe that is him returning to the pit lane.
So janky going through the mountain on that keyboard. It's so he's only hitting into the wall. Quite impressive considering, again, folks, he's on a keyboard, but man, you can tell he's on a keyboard just from the jankiness of his movements. This is going to be a race in qualifying here.
Yeah, we certainly do have some drivers fighting for position down the Conrad straight. The KTM struggling with that straight line speed. The Camaro and the Ginetta nearly identical there, but the Ginetta having to pull out of the slipstream. Of course, with qualifying laps, there is no blue flags unless there is an invalidation, and Thomas still on a valid lap, just not finding the room. And here the Ginetta might pull alongside and get through, as we do have a bit of racing going on here, fighting for the apex. Thomas going up to the line. What time can the keyboard warrior set? It's good enough for 11th place.
I was about to say, if the Ginetta, I don't know who the Ginetta is. I don't know if that's Groves or if that's Dolly, but like one or the other. Okay, so that is Groves. That might be his friend. I do not know. I'm not going to speak on presumes, but like, if I'm the Ginetta, I'll just back out of this. Like, you had time to like back out in the Conrad straight and get like a free like clean air lap. I mean, look at this. There's no one in sector 3 right now.
Yeah, they're plenty all in the mountain. Yeah, they're all bunched up in the mountain at the moment. Brian DeSantiago and Emmanuel Ramirez, it looks like, with some contact with the wall there, and hopefully the Porsche, the 157, is able to keep the car rolling, as there is under 2 minutes left to go in the session. So he will certainly not be able to go out for another lap, as neither are the even numbered drivers who have done their session earlier, and the likes of Georgeson, Martino, and Porkchop serving those pit lane starts / quali bans in this race. Brian DeSantiago trying to improve his position up into 3rd place. Nicholas Woods cutting across the chase and finding himself facing the incorrect direction, unfortunately. Brian DeSantiago currently sitting in 3rd. Colin Sugg able to rejoin back. Welcome back, Colin Sugg. DeSantiago up to the line. Is he able to improve? He is not, but he did cross the line with plenty of time left, and this will be his last flying lap attempt.
I think all the drivers in the mountain will get another opportunity as well, or they're just leaving the mountain now. I think they'll all get another opportunity to continue on. But oh my gosh, that car is drifting into Hezzy Thomas. Obviously A is to turn, or D is, or whatever he works. I would go WASD, brake, gas, turn. How is like gear shifting working? Like, oh my god, he almost flips it! Jesus, he almost flipped that Camaro. Holy crap. Okay, so it didn't fully flip, so I'm not counting it. It didn't fully flip. That is save of the season, if I've ever seen it. if you have if you've seen a clip that's come from the Twitch or from the race, save it. Come into the Discord and put it in pass and save of the season. That right there might have been it. Mostly due to the fact he didn't flip the car on a keyboard. That is insane.
Yeah, that was absolutely impressive stuff, going over the curb really heavily, just trying to maximize the entry speed and cutting the distance as much as he could to the line. But unfortunately, going up on two wheels is a little bit slower than getting the power down to all of the rear wheels. Over under 1.5 flips tonight. It's a pretty good bet to make there. We will just have to wait and see how things pan out. The 777 currently saying under a blue flag. We will see if that is true, as Brian DeSantiago in the 777 currently sitting in third place. This will be his last flying lap attempt to get anything done and sorted and changed with the top three order. And here we go, up to the line. He moves it up to second place, about 1.5 tenths off of the time of Joe Allenson, out in front with the provisional pole position. And Manuel Ramirez carrying a bit of damage on the front end of the Porsche. That'll certainly slow him down, and he is off the track, invalidating the lap at the last attempt, and he will be down the order, unable to set a valid time. Nicholas Woods, chaos avoidance, well done to him in the 39 across the line in the top 10 in 9th place. And the number 13 is the last one across the line. That's going to be the KTM of Lan Cloud. The grip runners, purple, silver, black, and white, taking a bit of curbing on the exit, but able to improve all the way up into 5th place.
Well, this has been fun. I can't imagine. Hezzy Thomas said, "Good Lord, I was button mashing A and D to balance it."
Oh my goodness.
I like clips in the Discord already. That's crazy. Someone has already clipped it. That's like
fantastic.
Actually insane.
Fantastic. You absolutely love to see it.
Oh, he went more than skiing. He was straight. He was straight up skateboarding. Like, that's not even close.
Yeah, indeed. Let's remind ourselves of the entire starting order here, beginning with our pole sitter, Joe Allenson. He himself was able to set that lap time during those fast conditions in the first 10 minutes. The 76 Emori Racing finds himself out in front. Brian DeSantiago with a really good lap at the end to find the 777 find on the front row alongside Allenson. Colin Sugg suffering a bit of PC issues, but he is back on the second row in third place in the 34 Slug Racing Porsche. Ryan Eason, the first Camaro on the grid, the Jurassic Racing number 2, will line up in fourth place. Lan Cloud, on the absolute very last attempt in the Grip Runners KTM, was able to get that qualifying lap good enough for 5th place. Sam Warden in the second Camaro, the V8 Racing number 22, lines up in 6th position. Shane Sullivan will be next. The 617 Racing BMW lines up in 7th place. The first Janetta on the grid, the OWP Racing of Jay Daly, number 139, will line up in 8th place. Alongside him is Vicente Moreira, the Victory of Conquest number 84 Porsche, just inside the top 10 in 9th place. Nicholas Woods, the meme dream team with memes all over the car. The 39 Mercedes rounds out our top 10, and we will leave the rest to you, Tyler.
All right, in P11, we got Cody Groves in the Foxfire Racing Janetta. In P12, we have the keyboard warrior himself, Hezzy Thomas, in the Dodge Bach Racing. You almost saw that car flip at the end of qualifying. You got Wade Gorgonson in the oh my Jesus, there's enough pride on that car to slap it around and parade it. He sits P13 in the 707 Mercedes. P14, you have Martino serving a qualification ban. He sits in that 111 in the 14th. And then number 15th, not with a quality band, just could not get a lap in the Costa Rica racing team, Emmanuel Ramirez, 157, and leading the back of the pack in the Alpine, the tiny Alpine, Chop Shop Racing, Dr. Pork Chop, number 71.
Right as the grid gets going for the formation lap here, let's take a look at the driver standings and how they are looking going up to the season finale here. On top, you've got Emmanuel Ramirez, plenty of race wins to his name, currently sits out in front. Brian DeSantiago is in second place overall, also having a few race wins and many podiums under his name, with Colin Sugg in third place, not too far off of the top two. Joe Allenson, the pole sitter, in fourth place, and rounding out the top five is Sam Warden.
I think for DeSantiago, this has been the best. Like, that's the best qualifying section you could have. Emmanuel Ramirez is not in a good position to hold on to that championship. Now, mind you, the prize is to a random random driver that's attended seven of the 8 races, so it'll be a random draw. But like, to win the rookies championship is no small feat.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, it is. They are fighting for pride here, for the championship win, and they will certainly always be able to carry that around for the rest of their sim racing career. Starting off on a high note in the rookies, and this is what the point system is. The top position gets 60 points, second gets 55, third gets 51, 47 for fourth, 44 for fifth, 41 for sixth, 39 for seventh, 37 for eighth, 35 for 9th, 33 for 10th, and then 31 for 11th, and then it goes down by 1 point all the way down the grid. So it is very important still to finish, as you do get a plethora of points, even if you do see the checkered flag at the end of the 20-minute races.
But to finish a race, first you must finish. And this mountain and this track will absolutely test these drivers' mantle. The championship in both categories, in both rookies and open, can be won or lost in this track, in this mountain section. So, can these drivers, who will come out as tough? Who will be able to defeat the mountain? Who will be able to survive Bathurst? It's not about winning. It's not about finishing a race. It's about survival.
Yeah, it sure is. The mountain is absolutely difficult. It takes any small mistake and really punishes the driver. Any small bit of oversteer finds you in the wall, and that might cause a fair bit of damage to the car. Cars now weaving side to side, trying to get any temperature that they can into the tires. No tire blankets on the GT4s. They come out of the pits stone cold, and that is up to the drivers to get them warmed up as they turn from left to right, trying to generate as much friction as they can in all 4 wheels and get those tires just perfectly warmed up for the start of the 20-minute race.
It's now zipper formation, so this will be interesting. But yeah, no tire blankets. Yeah, if you ain't 1 centimeter from tasting the wall in every corner, I don't want it. Well, I have to drive this in DRL next season. I ain't looking forward to it. But with the green flag close to the waving, I threw it to Kuja for the start.
Just Murray's corner 23 around the 3.86 mile public road street track around Mount Panorama here in Bathurst. The season finale, round 8, about to begin with the green lights waving. Who will see the checkered flag at the end, and who will come out on top in the spring season championship? The green flag waves, releasing the driver. Joe Allenson having a good start. Colin Sugg looking to launch it up the inside of Brian DeSantiago. Gets a fantastic move up the inside of Hell Corner. And the BMW and the Porsche are now going to go side by side down the mountain straight as they approach Griffin's Corner. Turn 2, the Porsche suffering in straight line speed. The Camaro might have a good slipstream advantage. Ryan Eason might slip to the inside here of Colin Sugg, and he's just looking to get a nose in, but he himself is going to slide out just a little bit wide, and this might give the KTM a look around the outside of turn 3 as they enter the cutting and start going up the mountain for the first time. Shane Sullivan looking to slip through, and there's a bit of contact. The KTM facing and still contact, and the KTM now facing the wrong way in probably the worst part of the track as the rest of the field tries to slide on through there.
Yeah, that's not a spot you definitely don't want to be in, with the car basically looking the wrong way into a blind corner. He's going to have to wait for everybody to get around the corner so he doesn't run into the front of someone. But yeah, no, that KTM is going to be there for a bit. Unfortunately, a P5 start, not sunshine and rainbows. He's going to probably finish all the way in the back, which is unfortunate. You got Dr. Porkchop, who was P16, is now up into the top 10, it looks like, from what our board seems. Oh, that is an absolutely painful hit by Martino in the 111, absolutely tanking the wall at quite a high speed. We're going to look at it on replay as he comes down. Everything seems all fine and dandy there. Nothing seems wrong. I think it's going to be coming out of this lovely chicane that he's going to have some trouble. Unsettles the car off that curb. I think he just takes a little bit too much speed, or he wasn't ready for. Yeah, he just takes too much speed and just tags the wall. I'll be interested to see where everyone else is in currently, because that replay was almost 30 seconds long.
Yeah, that's a fair bit of damage on the back, or on the front end, I should say, of Valerio Martino's car, but he is still trying to get that car to the pit lane to see the checkered flag at the end. The top 3 pulling a bit of a gap to Ryan Easton. It's about 2 seconds to 4th place, and Joe Allenson is really under pressure here from DeSantiago. We've seen DeSantiago carry the straight line speed of the BMW, and he is doing it here again. Around the outside, Allenson takes a defensive position to the inside. Is he going to fight it to the apex? He is. Brian DeSantiago forced to go a long way around, the wall coming very quick on the exit, and Allenson, great defensive posture thrown by the Porsche, maintains the lead of the race.
What an absolute defense by Allenson, knowing that the BMW is going to catch you in the straight, just defending well enough to just get to the corner, and knowing that you'll have a slight advantage through this mountain section. You'll have that advantage with you. Hezzy Thomas is now inside the top 10, which is quite incredible, might I add, considering, again, keyboard. But again, Allenson just stands in defense, waiting behind. That's so dangerous, dipping tires onto that grass. You do not know what that car is going to do when you are taking it at such speed. The BMW just growling. Look at the evil, demonic smile from the lights to the grill. Oh, that looked like a little bit of a sketchy move there by DeSantiago, but here's where DeSantiago will thrive. The straight in which Conrad was named for. The straight. Colin Sugg, actually, he's just going to try and stay in the slipstream of the BMW to try and keep it close here.
Yeah, he sure is. Going down the Conrad straight through the chase, the fast right-hander. This whole complex, I believe, is just called the chase. Entering this right-left complex as well. The BMW able to stay pretty close to the lead of Joe Allenson, and Colin Sugg hanging on as well, just not having that straight line speed of the BMW in front, but using the short wheelbase of the Porsche to its fullest around the mountain section.
Actually, Emmanuel Ramirez is now in 7th. He's gone from P15 to 7th. That is quite an amazing job as Dr. Porkchop goes down the inside of the 139. That is Daly. They make contact, and Hezzy Thomas. Oh my God! What a save by Hezzy Thomas on the keyboard, no less. What in the world was that?
Yeah, able to
Inhuman
avoid.
reactions.
Yeah, he just avoided all the chaos in front. Unfortunate for Porkchop. And I believe that was Daly in the Janetta, the 139, the teal, white, and yellow machine. Just a bit of contact, and that really sent the Janetta right into the grass on the inside of the corner, but the Porkchop was able to maintain it as Martino gets a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. The Alpine looking to take advantage with the nimble chassis around the outside of Hezi Thomas before the cutting. The Mercedes of Georgeson looking to do the same and get into the top 10, but he might just have to stay put as they go through the tight and narrow section of the mountain. But Wade Georgeson looking to change that. Hezi Thomas a little bit into the wall there, and Georgeson able to avoid the same fate as he gets now ahead of the Camaro and looks to chase down Dr. Porkchop in front.
This Camaro, that save was nice, but it's not looking very happy. Around the corners, Colin Sugg has actually found a way to get past Santiago, and he must have gotten it either through the mountain straight or just kind of a little bit after it, getting a little bit of a lunge, probably just in turn number 2, if I had to stamp a guess. Now, we are in replay right now, but I know DeSantiago is probably making a move on Colin Sugg. I hope to God we don't find them both in the dirt. That is not a commentator's curse, and I swear to God, if it happens, I'll cry.
Yeah, indeed. As we tune in, Colin Sugg trying to go down the outside for the lead. Not quite able to do it, and he finds himself in the gravel at the exit of the final corner. That is Emmanuel Ramirez sliding through in the 157 Porsche. So Colin Sugg now back into 7th place. DeSantiago in 2nd, but down the straight they go side by side with Joe Allenson. Allenson again taking that inside position. Will he be able to defend it once again as he did a couple of laps before? DeSantiago looks just that little bit ahead, but the Porsche defends very, very well, forcing the BMW the long way around. But now the BMW has the inside for the cutting, and is this the time for the BMW to move? The Porsche bumped into the wall. Ryan Eason trying to slide through, but the Porsche not making it easy. And Ryan Eason in the Camaro licking his lips at any opportunity that is coming his way ahead.
That's a curse. That's a curse for Sugg, so I'll take a point off that. That was Allenson just turning in and the BMW just sadly being there. Thankfully, not too much damage, hopefully, to that Porsche, and it can keep moving along. Corey Groves going into the pit most likely for damage. Eason just waiting until the Conrad straight to have his moment on Allenson, but he's got to stick a little bit close. For Colin Sugg, it's just about recovery. That was definitely a Code Brown moment, seeing him go up over the curb. That'd have been a Camaro, he would have flipped it. But down the Conrad straight we go. Oh, that's a little bit of a tap into the wall. That might have just been lag, to be honest, because it didn't look like it was that bad of an angle. DeSantiago should hold this due to the straight line speed of the BMW. Eason, not quite. Why is it that it seems like they're not gaining in the Conrad straight, but the mountain straight, they're gaining like a ton?
Yeah, the Porsche might just be getting a much better exit out of Forrest's elbow, using the grip to its advantage. The BMW and the Camaro here just not quite able to do the same, as Joe Allenson might be lining up the BMW in front for a move into the lead of the race, but not quite close enough to do it into the final corner here.
Nope, just not yet. Now, again, the exit for the Porsche is going to be key, because that'll decide how much it gains in the short term, but the long term, the BMW will always win out in a drag race. But all Allenson can do is just stay inside of that slipstream. You have in the top 5, 2 BMWs, 2 Camaros, and a Porsche. And then 6, 7, 8 are all Porsches. So, fun fact, if they ride straight down the middle of the back straight, it gives a bit of down for speed boost, so they may be using that. Interesting. Good to know.
Yeah, that is certainly interesting. Yeah, we'll see if anyone can use it to their advantage. Ryan Eason does set the fastest lap. A mistake from Joe Allenson goes a little bit deep, but keeping it out of the wall. Ryan Eason flashing away, saying, I'm here. I'm trying to make my way through. I have the fastest lap of the race, certainly showing that he has pace in the Camaro. Looking for any sort of hole to put the nose of the Camaro in and get by the Porsche in front. Maybe a bit of damage onto the Porsche after some contact with the BMW and the wall, slowing down Joe Allenson. Currently takes the second place position in the race at the moment. Ryan Eason, though, breathing right down the rear bumper in the Camaro. Shane Sullivan not too far off with Sam Warden for company. Then comes the Porsche of Ramirez, followed by Sugg and then Vicente Morera. Dr. Porkchop and Georgeson round out our top 10.
Here comes Eason's moment. This is the time. There's not really a tow from De Santiago to help out Allenson right now. So Allenson's just going to have to do his best to get through the chase section, hopefully unscathed. Eason's going to do his best to try and make sure the exit out of the chase is better than what Allenson can provide. He knows that Allenson made a mistake earlier. He knows that that mistake is possible again. So he's going to stay right on the back. As that's Colin Sugg and Emmanuel Ramirez is going to tussle it out at the end of the chase. Both of these drivers incredibly quick in and of their own right. However, Ramirez needs to defend this position for the championship. He cannot afford to lose any more places, as those points could be very key after this is all said and done.
Yeah, very well could be. After that mistake from Colin Sugg, recovering very well, still in a strong top 10 position, finding himself behind his championship rival at the moment in the 157. They are slightly gaining ground on the Camaro in front of Sam Warden, who rounds out the top 5 of the championship. Colin Sugg using the slipstream, going to the outside. Ramirez covering off the inside, and he is going to slide back, and that is Colin Sugg up into 6th place, taking his championship rival, or overtaking, I should say, his championship rival, and now Sugg in front of Ramirez.
Still 8 minutes left to go. Anything can happen, especially in the... Learned that all too well. We've had cars flip. We've had not calculating enough fuel. We've had calculating too much fuel. Everything can change the complexion of a race, and we've seen it before with Colin Sugg as he went wide going into the final corner. And we could have it again here. We could have a car go into the wall in the mountain section. Who knows? It could be the 76. Tried to jinx it, it didn't work.
Absolutely anything can happen here. The 76 of Joe Allenson is trying to defend from Ryan Eason. Not too much separating as the BMW of Shane Sullivan hitting the wall on the exit. And that might give Sam Warden a really good run. They're going to go side by side at the beginning of the Conrad Straight. The BMW takes to the inside of the slight kink, but the Camaro using that straight line speed, they are pretty evenly matched. They're going to be side by side going through the kink. Who is going to manage it? The BMW just on the brakes, a bit of contact. The Camaro going through and braking, finding a bit of air and keeping it out of the wall, though. Great save from Sam Warden, keeping the Camaro pointed in the correct direction out of the wall. Fortunately, not too many places lost. It looks like just to the Porsche of Colin Sugg. So fortunately for Sugg, he finds himself in the top 5. But Sam Warden, after that little bit of an incident going through the kink of the chase, oh yeah, very scary moment. Absolutely there for Sam Warden, but very skilled driver, able to save the Camaro from any sort of danger.
He couldn't brake, he was on the grass. So he just let the car's momentum take him, make sure he didn't take out any other cars in the process, and then once he found the gravel, he let the gravel naturally slow the car, and then he steered it to wherever he wanted to go. Beautiful job to not spin, not crash, avoid making any more damage than as already was from the contact above. Beautiful save by Sam Warden. There's a lot of saves coming out so far in this race.
Yeah, lots of saves, lots of overtakes as well. Very textbook overtakes, I should say. Just using the slipstream, taking the inside or the outside, depending on where the car in front lines up. Lots of great defensive moves as well from Joe Allenson at the beginning, but DeSantiago able to find his way through and out into the lead of the race. Is now about 5 seconds clear of the Porsche behind, who himself was able to pull a pretty healthy gap to the Camaro of Ryan Eason. And Shane Sullivan, after that contact with the Camaro here of Sam Warden, has Colin Sugg 2.5 seconds down. A very quick driver, Colin Sugg, breathing down the neck of Shane Sullivan in the closing stages of the race.
What's crazy to me is there's not really a lot of like close races. They've almost gapped each other out already, and it's not even, it's like, it's a 20-minute sprint, folks. Like, it's not meant to gap this much as we have yellow flags in the mountains.
Yeah, that is yellow flags. Oh, goodness. The parked car getting hit by the Alpine. I believe that's Dr. Porkchop behind. And the both of them, unfortunately, returning to the pits. Let's see if we can quickly get a replay of what happened. But, of course, as we always cut to a replay, something else always happens. It looks like the Ginetta and the Porsche were involved in a bit of contact, and then the Porsche going slowly down the mountain. Oh, and the Alpine, a self-inflicted incident as well, coming out of the dipper, and the Porsche just parking along the side of the road, and the Alpine. Oh, and the Ginetta in front. Oh, oh goodness. The Ginetta flipped it in front. My goodness. Oh my goodness. There's so much action everywhere right now.
All right, well, there's one on terms of the flip counter, so I'm already up to 1, so he straight up flipped it.
That was crazy.
That's crazy. Well, we jinxed each other. That's crazy. What's crazy enough is that incident with Morera, and then the self-inflicted plus incident with Porkchop, and then Dolly flipping the Ginetta has allowed Hezzy Thomas back into the top 10.
Yeah, Thomas is back in the top 10, 4.5 seconds off of Land Cloud in the KTM number 13. Georgeson also with a strong top 10 position at the moment. Shane Sullivan with Colin Sugg quickly approaching in the Porsche in the closing stages of the race. The Porsche is getting closer and closer, turn by turn, going through the dipper. That's where we've seen a couple of cars lose it, but not these two, going around Bathurst for their 8th lap in this 20-minute race. We have, or 20-minute double-header race, the first of the two almost coming to a close. Second one will begin right as this one ends. Colin Sugg trying to make up ground after the mistake into the final corner. Currently sits in the top 5, but the Porsche doesn't have the straight line speed to compete with the BMW just quite yet on this occasion here. But through the corners, we can see the Porsche getting closer and closer.
It definitely is getting closer and closer. Leaders on the final lap. That signifies we will not be out here for very long, at least in race number 1. Race number 2, as my lovely co-caster has said, will start pretty much almost right after the beginning of this last race. Sam Warden brought out the yellow flag ever so briefly, but continued going forward, so nothing in the problems there. Sullivan seemingly struggling out of turn 1. This is going to allow Colin Sugg maybe the opportunity to get into turn 2. Let's see what the move is done here. Up the inside, Ramirez was disqualified for not pitting a damaged car, so he was obviously getting black and orange flags and didn't pit. So oh my god, that's a disqualification for Ramirez. Oh my, that has massive championship applications.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And Ramirez finding himself back in the pits after, yeah, like you said, not pitting under those black and orange flags for safety reasons, finding himself disqualified from race 1. Having a really good, strong top 10 finish was Emmanuel Ramirez after starting near the back of the grid and unfortunately finding himself disqualified in race 1 here. but the Colin Sugg in the 34 Porsche trying to change the script, looking to get by the BMW of Shane Sullivan into Forrest's elbow. They go for the final time in race 1. Can the Porsche get a better exit and try and use that slipstream as best as possible to get close to the braking zone? But it looks like the BMW got just a good enough exit to avoid the dive bomb, but the slipstream coming into effect closer and closer. Colin Sugg looking to the inside of the kink. He's not quite close enough to pull up alongside yet. Shane Sullivan covers off the inside. Colin Sugg not making the dive bomb move just yet. Might think about it into the final corner as Brian DeSantiago crosses the line. Can Shane Sullivan defend the inside position from Colin Sugg? He takes the defensive line. Colin Sugg over the curbs. A bit of a wiggly exit, but it's a short run down the finish line. Shane Sullivan able to hold off fourth place. Joe Allenson crossing the line in second, and Ryan Eason rounds out the podium in third place. Up next across the line, Sam Warden in the Camaro. Great save from the number 22 to keep the Camaro out of the wall. And Wade Georgeson, the 707, avoiding any sort of dramas, finding a good top 10 result. Across the line in 7th position is the 707. KTM going down the Conrad Straight. Next in the order in 8th place, a bit of lapped cars in the mix as well. The 115, I should say, of Cody Groves going to the line to take 10th place. Valerio Martino, after suffering an early crash, still in the race. The number 111 finishes in 11th place. Lots of ones there for Valerio in the race here this evening. Land Cloud, as we mentioned, running in 8th place. No dramas up to the line. Crossing in 8th place, taking the checkered flag. We've got 2 drivers left on track. Nicholas Woods in the 39 in the Mercedes Meme Dream Team, just ahead of our keyboard warrior, finding himself in the top 10 in 9th. The 59 Camaro across the line. A bit of damage on the front end, but able to carry it to the checkered flag. And that is race 1 complete.
What an exciting race that was. That was absolutely insane. And then you got 84 for speeding in the pit lane just to add a little bit of a insult to injury. The keyboard warrior finds himself, oh, is he gonna try and do donut keyboard? I don't know. He's just around the world around. He was just doing a little bit of a show off there for us. Yeah, that was a fun race. We had overtakes, we had crashes into the wall, we had cars flipping. Like, it was just a buttload of everything in that race, and can't complain. And we were told to hydrate by Xander Zone, which
cheers
I'm
to
gonna
that.
go drink from my tap.
Yeah, cheers to that, Xander. Thanks for the ongoing support, racking up those points, redeeming that hydrate. Of course, plenty of other stuff to redeem as well, apart from the hydrate. We've got the request a fun fact. You can give a driver of your choice some energy. We can do a livery deep dive as well. A full onboard lap of choice, a face cam fiesta, and last but not least, I guess that was it. Yeah, last but not least, hydrate, the more simple one, where our commentators here are always super happy to see that one, giving us a quick little break and getting a quick sip of water, a quick sip of tea, whatever we may be drinking that evening, helping us in the booth here. Much appreciate you guys doing that for us as always.
Why DSQ, says Ramirez in the Discord chat. It's just definitely a friggin' that was actual carnage. That was so much fun. Like, I'm wondering if if they're just gonna force it into race 2 now, because right now that's just kind of just broken.
Yeah, it's just gonna, there's usually like a cooldown timer, and once it hits that timer, but yes, the managers can manually forward the session to race 2, so we'll just have to see and wait and see what that plays out. And we do have a livery deep dive from the 59 dog box. So while we have a moment, the session is ending, and before our next grid walk to remind ourselves of the starting grid, we will do that livery. Actually, let's just do it on the formation lap while the car is rolling. We'll get the features as the sun goes around that Camaro livery.
Definitely be a little bit of a fun moment.
There we go.
There they go.
Away we go. Race 2 about to begin. 3 minutes for the drivers to load their setups, get the tire pressures to the track settings. Much hotter conditions in race 2 than in race 1. The track is much more optimum for grip though. Maximum available to the drivers here in race 2. Why don't we start with you, Tyler, with our top 10?
All right, we have Joe Allenson finding themselves, I think they finished P2 just behind DeSantiago, so they kind of swapped roles, but currently he's back on his provisional pole position for race number 2. Then you had the race winner of last race, Brian DeSantiago, in that 777, especially with that Ramirez disqualification. He's put himself in a very good position to win this championship. In P3, you had Colin Sugg. After we came out of replay, you saw him flying over the curb. A good recovery for him in that last race, but however, he wants to probably stay on the podiums for also that championship reason. And then you have Ryan Eason in P4 in that Jurassic Racing Camaro, and in P5 with 58 seconds of damage for half of that. Last race, Landcloud in the KTM, a very good qualifying for him in the Grip Runners number 13. And then you have Sam Warden in P6 number 22 in that V8 motor racing Camaro, finding himself also inside the top 10. Then you have Shane Sullivan, the fellow BMW brethren of DeSantiago, not actually in the 617 Racing. Surprised I haven't gotten them confused yet. And in P8, you have the Janetta of Jay Dolly in the OWP Racing 139. He's looking to keep that momentum going instead of almost flipping the car. And then you have Vicente Morera in the Victory of Conquest number 84. Got into a little bit of an incident with the man that we will hear from in P16 eventually. He sits right now P9, and then Nicholas Woods rounds out our qualification top 10 in the Meme Dream Team Yeet Mercedes. P11, you got Cody Groves in the Fox Fire Racing 115. And in P12, you have the Keyboard Warrior, found himself in another top 10 finish in the Dog Box Racing at number 59. And P13, not taking a pit lane start this time, would be Wade Jorgensen in the 420 OZ 707 Mercedes. P14 hit a wall earlier, but a good recovery. Martino in the live, can't say that, 111 Porsche? I don't know, I've suddenly forgot the ability to speak. And then P15, you have Emmanuel Ramirez, championship current leader, in danger of losing that championship. Needs a very, very, very good race here in order to keep it. Sits P15, and then the tiny, tiny, tiny Alpine of Dr. Porkchop in the Chop Shop Racing rounds out our grid for P16, and we will throw it for the livery deep dive.
Yes, let's indeed take a livery deep dive with Hezzy Thomas here. We are going to take it with our lovely free cam and go all the way around the Dog Box Racing as he goes around the mountain straight, going up to the mountain. Respect for the Trackalicious logos. Many thanks for throwing those on there, showing the support for the community. I love the teal color on that gray background. Really fun Dog Box Racing theme here for the Camaro of Hezzy Thomas, number 59. It's got a puppy on board. Everybody watch out. Don't hit the Camaro. And don't go too violently into the wall either, Hezzy. You've got a puppy on board, my friend.
Fun fact, actually, the car is the Mastiff dog breed. He's more used to painting and iRacing, so he couldn't make it as detailed as we want. But yeah, he paints all the liveries and designed all the logos, obviously, besides the sponsor stickers.
This was actually a one-off joke that came real. So,
yeah, no, that was some, that was actually, gee, okay, good to know. But yeah, no, some absolute, beautiful livery, great facts, and, let's see how Hezi does in race number 2.
Yeah, good, strong top 10 finish. In the wall a couple of times, but just some minor scrapes and bruises on the Camaro of the 59. Currently sitting just outside the top 10 in 11th place. A good qualifying lap nonetheless on the keyboard as the drivers around the formation lap are trying to get as much temperature and grip into those tires. No tire blankets on the GT4s and no pit stops to worry about like in race 1. Just a 20-minute straight, or a 20-minute sprint, I should say, from start to finish.
It's going to be an absolute banger, especially with this being the final race. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of contact, a lot of collisions, not due to the fact that it's being the mountain, but it's the final race of the season. All bets are going to be off for all of these drivers, so I can only imagine how this race is going to go. But thank you, as always, for joining us tonight. We do not take your viewership for granted. It is absolutely fun being the commentator for you guys and basically letting us into your living room, computer, wherever you house your computer, TV. Some people watch this on TV, I've actually heard, which is pretty great. Why did you take out that board? What did that board do? Vicente Morera, that board had a family.
Hopefully the race directors will be able to replace that quickly for the drivers. Of course, Bathurst is one of those places where there are not too many brake markers. There is one coming up to the braking zone of the chase, and that is a common place for those brake markers to go and get kind of blown up by the drivers, maybe running a little bit wide. And so potentially that might come as a bit of a factor later on, just the drivers not having a really good solid braking point to focus on. But they were able to avoid that in race 1, hopefully able to avoid it in race 2. Zipper formation lining up as they exit the chase before the final corner, Murray's Corner. 23 corners around Mount Panorama for the drivers to negotiate. 3.86 miles long, should be about a 9-lap race in these GT4s. Brian DeSantiago looking to take the race win in race 2 like he did in race 1. Joe Allenson looking to avoid that fate. Colin Sugg will certainly look to have a good finish in the season finale. Race 2 underway, round 8 around the mountain, Mount Panorama Circuit in Bathurst. Colin Sugg once again looking to the inside as he did in race 1. Not quite able to get it through Emmanuel Ramirez and Martino, I believe, coming in with a bit of contact, running wide on the exit of turn number 1. The KTM and the Camaro of Ryan Eason almost side by side. The Camaro taking a slightly defensive approach. Allenson out in the lead from DeSantiago, from Colin Sugg. And then comes the Camaro of Ryan Eason. And the KTM, it looks like, of Land Cloud is going to go side by side. Sam Warden sweeping around the outside before the mountain section gets the move done on the KTM.
Beautiful move done there, and is absolutely crucial as that's Sullivan tagging the wall and tagging it quite hard. Hopefully he doesn't have enough damage, but that's the Janetta of Daly going up the inside, and that's another hit to Shane Sullivan, and another hit, and that was a massive hit, and we have a behind these drivers. That was absolutely brutal. How is Hezi Thomas not collecting in that? That is Shane Sullivan's season coming to a dramatic yet sad end. Let's look at the replay. All what happened is you just saw Sullivan tag the wall here. The Janetta comes up the inside. They make contact. Hits the wall there. Hits the wall again. Morera, Gorgonson all get caught and taken in. There's nowhere to anyone to go. Oh my. Several drivers taking very heavy hits as they kind of just all got caught in the collision. And so we have 4 drivers now out in the pits.
Yeah, that was
Hezzy
very
Thomas
unfortunate
is not
there.
one of them.
Yeah, very fortunate for the drivers that made it through that incident. There was almost nowhere to go coming to the end. But yeah, no, I agree, Sullivan. Nothing you could do but hold the brakes and pray. That was a very sketchy moment as Ryan Eason, not able to defend to the inside. Sam Warden slips through of turn 1, and the KTM has a great exit. He is looking to pick up the scraps as he is right on the back of the Camaro of Ryan Eason. Can the KTM get the move done into turn number 2 before the mountain section?
Maybe. He's going to have to go really up the inside here to even think about that. Did they make contact? Oh, they almost did, but the KTM with the better traction is going to find himself on the outside, and the position gained for the KTM back into P5. All because Eason tried to stay on the back of Sam Morton and it didn't work out. DeSantiago's now in the lead of this race, and Allenson now has a lot more company than he ever thought could imagine. This is a 6-way fight for first. You have DeSantiago, Allenson, Sugg, Warden, Cloud, and Eason all within about 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. The top 6 separated by a mere 3 seconds. Brian DeSantiago able to take the lead on this lap from Joe Allenson. As we were tuned in, watching all of that chaos unfold, Joe Allenson giving up the lead here in race 2 and slipping to the inside. The BMW goes wide. Ooh. Joe Allenson takes the lead with a fantastic move through Forrest Selva. And Colin Sugg is trying to pick up the advantage as well. The 2 Porsches working together against the BMW, but the straight line speed of the BMW would be really apparent. Down the Conrad straight they go. He's down the inside of the short kink. We have seen it end in chaos before, and DeSantiago just thinks the better of it and slides beside Sugg. But that is a fantastic move from both Allenson and Sugg through Forrest's elbow and down the Conrad straight to take first and second. DeSantiago now back into third.
Now these 3 are trying to get away from Morton, Cloud, and Eason as they have their own battles up ahead now, but you can see how... Oh, Whoa! He didn't flip it, he almost flipped it! The Camaro of Eason hitting that curb and almost flipping completely on 2 wheels! 45-degree angle, does not flip it! However, he has got front damage, and the Ginetta of Daly is gonna look at this like a wounded animal. Down the back straight, Sugg is gonna look for an overtaking opportunity. Allenson defending the inside well. Sugg's gonna have to go round to the outside, elects not to do it. DeSantiago goes really deep, but manages to find themselves not in the wall, very crucially. However, Sam Morton and the KTM, the door has been opened for them. What's gonna happen here? They elect to just stay where they need to be. Hezzy Thomas is in the pits, so he's obviously got damage that needs to be repaired, which is unfortunate for him, as he found himself surviving what was a massive lap 1 incident.
Yeah, certainly was.
Santiago's actually in trouble right now.
Yeah, but Santiago, you're right, Tyler, falling back down the order a bit, just about over a second between Colin Sugg and the BMW driver in 3rd place, and he has a lot of company behind in Sam Warden, looking to capitalize on the BMW. Land Cloud is not too far off in the KTM. Also, a good exit through the dipper from DeSantiago. And now he has a good bit of room to work with, but the Camaro closing the gap through Forrest's elbow, and they are pretty evenly matched as we've seen on the last race. Down the Conrad straight, Vicente Moreira in the Porsche under blue flags there. Fantastic, I should say, oh my goodness, fantastic sportsmanship. Lost the word there for a second, just pulling off and letting this 5-car battle for the lead go through him as Allenson leads Sugg. DeSantiago in front of Warden and the KTM of Land Cloud trying to pick up any scraps that might come their way. Ryan Eason in 6th place, a bit further down the order after nearly flipping it into this corner here, the 23rd corner. Much safer around the curbing this time. It doesn't want the same to happen on this lap as we begin lap 4 of race 2. Hezzy Thomas exiting the pits there. Once again, good sportsmanship from all of the blue flag drivers, just staying out of the way of the battles. DeSantiago has a really good run on Sugg, but Sugg has the slipstream of the Porsche in front to work with. Allenson down the inside. There might be a bit of a bump from the BMW, but the BMW has nowhere to go. Colin Sugg and Allenson forming a Porsche wall, but Sugg forced to the outside, giving the inside to Santiago, and he takes 2nd place, going up to the cutting before turn 3, gets the move done, and going into the mountain, it is Allenson in front of DeSantiago. Colin Sugg back in 3rd place, and DeSantiago looking very racy on this lap, already on the bumper of the Porsche in front.
What a overtake. I'm actually like so impressed. He got kind of blocked by the Porsche wall, yeah, but then Allenson kind of just took the corner and left, leaving Sugg a little bit of a heartbroken man. He didn't have his partner in crime to keep away the big bad BMW of DeSantiago, and look how close they're getting to one another. Oh, contact almost being made there going through the dipper section. And the thing is P4 and P5 aren't necessarily out of this. If somehow all 3 get collected, Warden and Cloud are in a perfect position to claim that. And even Eason's not out of this yet either. So it's not necessarily a 6-way fight for the win, but it's all definitely close enough where if something happened, things could get interesting. And DeSantiago's going to chase Allenson down the Conrad straight and down into the chase.
Yeah, the BMW straight line speed showing once again. Allenson taking the defensive line, but the BMW not close enough. Allenson back on the racing line, maximizing the corner speed. And you are right, Ryan Eason is closing in on this battle for the top 5 after that heavy bit of contact into the wall on the exit of the final corner. DeSantiago really close to the bumper. One Bigley, thank you very much for the donation. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for the support from us to you, following along all season long. One Bigley, always see you in the chat supporting along. Brian DeSantiago, fantastic run out of hell corner down the mountain straight. Allenson, nothing he can do about this but tuck back in the slipstream. Colin Sugg looking to capitalize on this as well. Allenson down the defensive inside line. Once again, the 2 Porsches nearly contact, but DeSantiago sweeps through and takes the lead of race 2.
Sam Warren might have a small look here, maybe going into the cutting. Nope, elects to just stay behind and wait for possibly his moment, his time in the sunshine. Warden being so patient, watching all these battles happen in front of him, not knowing what's going to happen next. Corner after corner, lap after lap, positions keep changing within the top 3. However, Warden and Cloud still sit 4th and 5th, as that's a little bit of a drift by Sam Warren there, but good on him to keep it steady and keep himself in a podium and maybe even a race winning position.
Yeah, right on the back step of the podium. Colin Sugg rounding out the podium positions, but he doesn't want to make those mistakes too often, as Land Cloud in the KTM is looking really racy here in race 2 after suffering a lot of damage in race 1, but still able to take the checkered flag in the KTM in a much better position in that top 5 at the moment, on the tail of the Camaro. But as it seems, the Camaro has a much better straight line speed advantage over the KTM, but the KTM using the slipstream, the 2 Porsches not quite close enough to go side by side, but the KTM might have a look here in the braking zone. Not quite close enough to do it yet. The Camaro able to defend 4th place, but Colin Sugg out in front of the battle behind here between Warden and Cloud is looking to get on the 2nd step of the podium and overtake his fellow Porsche driver Joe Allenson, and he might do it here.
Oh, Warden takes a little bit of a heavy bump. That's going to allow the KTM. They're going to go side by side into Hell's Corner here. The KTM making the overtake now up into P4. Land Cloud with an incredible drive so far. The Camaro kind of tipped a wheel into the grass and kind of had to concede the position. However, the KTM is not in a very nice place right now. The Camaro is coming! It is pulling! It is so much faster than the KTM, it's not even funny anymore. And down the inside goes Warren, around the outside goes Landcloud. Being almost forced out wide, they're gonna go side by side through the cutting. But I think the KTM will have the inside advantage. It does. And Landcloud defends the position from the big bad Camaro down the main straight.
Yeah, great defensive line from Landcloud. Usually you would defend up the inside, but he was confident with the grip levels of the KTM to sweep around the outside, and the two Porsches are bumper to bumper going through the mountain up to McPhillamy Park. This left-handed downhill turn before Skyline, and now down the hill the two Porsches go. Absolutely no room for error. The KTM breathing on the neck of Colin Sugg now, with Sam Warden dropping back a little bit after getting passed by the KTM, and the KTM is looking to get that final podium position from Colin Sugg. Sam Warden tapping the wall on the exit. Ryan Eason isn't too far off in the fellow Camaro behind, but Colin Sugg finds himself in the middle of a battle here. Joe Allenson in front, very quick Porsche driver, evenly matched cars, in the KTM of Landcloud behind, looking to make up the positions. Joe Allenson defending the inside, not giving Colin Sugg any room to make a move, and that is gonna frustrate him as Landcloud in the KTM trying ever so desperately to get closer and closer to Colin Sugg and get that final podium position. Good exit from Colin Sugg, might find himself for a good overtaking opportunity into Hell Corner, but not quite close enough to do it. Needs to line up a good exit to get down the mountain straight. Has the slipstream of the Porsche in front, but the KTM is not far off behind.
We might have a three-way battle here into turn two, as you have the slipstream effect, the double slipstream effect for the KTM. The KTM looks a little too far. Maybe a dummy move by Sugg, looks like it made Allenson try and think, hey, I might come up the inside. What are you going to do about it? But no worries from Allenson, defending that P2 position well. Landcloud almost giddy right now. I think this would be Landcloud's first career podium, and that is Vicente Morera going into the pits, most likely being done with the race and the season. Sadly frustrating for him that he can't get around this Bathurst circuit, the walls just being too tight and too gripping, pulling the cars in, making it unavoidable for them. Sugg just in literally in hell right now. That's a yellow flag. Who was that? I think that might have been Dr. Porkchop in the middle of Skyline there. That could have been dangerous for the drivers who are just coming in, and those would have been the race leaders too, so anything could have happened there. Sugg again trying to get Allenson, but in the back of the mind has to worry about the KTM. The KTM, if you've noticed this, Kuja, the KTM's electing to go wide into the entry to get a better exit out.
Yeah, just lining up for the move rather than the optimal racing line, which might be faster if you are hot lapping, but not in a race scenario where you've got cars in front taking that optimal racing line, but you might just get that slight overspeed. But the KTM not quite able to do anything about it just yet. In the back, Emmanuel Ramirez has the fastest lap of the race, finds himself in a good top 10 position after finding himself with a DSQ in the previous race. Colin Sugg looking to the outside. Joe Allenson taking the defensive line. This might be the over-under the Porsche was looking for. Allenson defending the inside into turn number one. Colin Sugg might line up a move as Joe Allenson a little bit on the defensive inside line. Colin Sugg looks to get the overspeed, and this race is gonna continue down the mountain straight once again. Landcloud in the KTM looking to pick up the scraps. The two Porsches are side by side. The KTM has great straight line speed advantage at the moment, but there's nowhere to go. It's a Porsche wall in front. They go side by side into turn two. Allenson in the inside, Sugg on the outside, and now the KTM trying to slip through. They're gonna go side by side. Sugg and Cloud. Sug with the inside into the cutting, but land Cloud into the wall on the outside of the cutting, and Sam Warden is going to slip through as well, and the KTM is going to slide back into 5th place after nearly getting onto the podium.
Unfortunate for Land Cloud there. Tried to stick it around the outside, but sadly the walls do not extend and the walls are concrete. They will rip your car in half, and that is a mega hit by Land Cloud into the wall there. He's managed to somehow keep the car going forward, which is an incredible feat of strength. But for Sug, he probably wants Land Cloud behind him and not Sam Warden, because Sam Warden's in a Camaro, and we know what the Camaro can do in the straight, Kuja.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And Sug does have the slipstream in front of Allenson, and this is the closest it looks like he's been so far as they exit Forest Elbow. Allenson already on the defensive line, going to the outside of the kink, which will give him the inside to the braking zone, and Sug slipping his nose in. They're gonna go side by side into the kink. This is danger territory. Who is gonna come out in front? Colin Sug tapping the brakes. Allenson, fantastic defensive driving from the Porsche to maintain 2nd place. Colin Sug trying anything he can to get by, but there's no room for the 34 to slip by.
What to have the capacity, can't say this on stream, the guts to stick it out there despite knowing what is behind you is absolutely incredible, absolutely insane by Joe Allenson. And the KTM actually isn't out of this just yet. It's actually somehow still there. Colin Sug is gonna have to force a move one way or another against Joe Allenson if he wants to find himself on the 2nd step of the podium. But right now, I would have bigger concerns about just keeping my P3 position, because Sam Warden and somehow Land Cloud, after hitting the wall, find themselves in a very, very fortunate position.
Yeah, very fortunate indeed, as Brian DeSantiago is out in the lead by about 2 seconds from this battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Who will finish in what order? Just 1 lap to go, nearly half a lap at this point, as they are nearly all the way up the mountain, up the crest before McPhillamy Park, and back down. Very quick left-hand corner before going to Skyline, tapping on the brakes. Down the hill they go for the final time. The last lap of the season. Who will take the race win? Who will take 2nd? Who will take 3rd? And 4th and 5th still yet to be settled. Battles all the way up and down the grid. Brian DeSantiago out in front. The lead is shortened though. It's about 1.3 seconds. A bit of wall contact from the outside. Can anyone get a move done into the chase or into the final corner? 0 seconds on the clock. The checkered flag will be waving as the drivers just have 4 corners to go in the season. Brian DeSantiago comfortably in the lead, and the BMW just has to drive it around. Colin Sug trying to take that 2nd podium, or that 2nd step of the podium, away from Joe Allenson, but it doesn't look like he's close enough to do it. Sam Warden defends 4th place behind. Brian DeSantiago will take the win in race 2. As Joe Allenson, Colin Sug cross the line in 2nd and 3rd. Sam Warden holds off 4th. Land Cloud, great drive from the KTM despite the damage, in 5th place. And there's a yellow flag from Emmanuel Ramirez, dropping back the order, almost losing to Valerio Martino in 8th place, but he is able to finish 7th with Jay Daly in the KTM in front there at the end of the race. Valerio Martino across the line in 8th. Ryan Eason nearly rolling it again as he comes to the line. Lots of damage on the front end of his Camaro in the number 2, crosses in 9th place. Shane Sullivan across the line in the BMW in 13th, able to take the checkered flag. Up next, you've got Nicholas Woods approaching the final corner of the season for the Mercedes driver. The Meme Dream Team were able to get that livery to work. Thank goodness for that. We'll cross the line. I believe that will be 10th place for Nicholas Woods. Cody Groves is in the pits. Not quite sure what happened there to the KTM driver at the end. Not sure if he did take the checkered flag there or not. But nonetheless, our keyboard warrior here, a bunch of front end damage on the front of that, just trying to get it across the line to the checkered flag. The 71 of Dr. Porkchop will be next to cross the line. The Alpine finishing off the season with a strong result around the mountain. Unfortunately, getting involved in a bit of that heavy lap 1 incident back to the pits, but still taking the checkered flag is Dr. Porkchop. The 84 of Vicente Moreira across the line in his victory of Conquest Porsche. That is the season done for the 84, and it doesn't look like, oh no, it is. The Tezzy Thomas is still going out on track. Let's ride on board with the heavily damaged Camaro as he tries to steer it in the right direction, pointing it around the final corner to the checkered flag, of the spring season here. 8 rounds under our belts in the Rookie Championship. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us throughout the season. All the participants putting on a fantastic showing for all of us, especially that battle for the top 5 at the end in the last race, just really showing the skill of the rookies and how they've progressed. Absolutely fantastic to watch, Tyler.
Absolutely, and donuts deserving of the season end for Hezzy Thomas. That car is absolutely totaled, but nevertheless, those donuts were earned by the keyboard warrior himself, and look how dirty it is, as that is the connection lost to the season. So congrats to all the drivers who podiumed and who finished the race, who survived Bathurst. And I do believe the results are in for the rookies. So I am going to quickly check and see what that means for the championship.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. We want to invite all the podium sitters as well to join us in the green room for a quick chat as well. And with that as well, yeah, join us in the green room for a quick chat. End of the championship of the night for us here this evening. And yeah, join us in the green room and we'll do the quick interview. We'll get to the championship standings and then we will do the next level racing prize giveaway. Unless you're ready with those standings now.
It actually hasn't showed up yet, so we'll pull in the drivers for now. So we'll pull in De Santiago, Colin Sugg, and Eason. Sugg should also wait. Who is? We're missing Allenson. That's who we're missing from. So bring them all in now. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3. Congratulations to you all. Sugg, you got a podium in race 2. Eason, you got the other podium in race number 1. And De Santiago, the standings have not updated yet, but I think with a double win and where Ramirez finished both just getting disqualified in the first race and not finishing high enough maybe in the second race, you've won the overall. I'm not positive yet.
I'm not sure either. I'm not sure either on that one.
Could be
Considering he had a pretty high point gap against me in first place.
Talk to me how, especially that felt through race number 2 when it was literally the top 6. Well, this question actually now goes to all of you. How that top 6 battle was in race 2. You got that was insane.
Wild.
Truly wild. I think Sugg has a lot more to commentate on that than I have. I just saw the train behind me and I was like, oh god, I better push it before they catch up.
Green light, green light. Go, go, go.
Sugg, you were in like literal hell. There was stuff. You had Allenson in front who you couldn't catch. Then you had either Camaro or KTM, or you had De Santiago getting past you at one point. Like, can only imagine how that was for you in race number 2.
It was interesting. Whether I was looking through my windshield or looking in my mirrors, I just saw it was terrifying. Yeah, my entire game reset, so I had to build all my setups all over again and everything. So I didn't feel comfortable in my car. It was, yeah, I mean, yeah. it was Bathurst.
Easton, you almost flipped the car. You almost straight up flipped the Camaro in the final turn.
Yeah, the last 2 laps I almost flipped that on the corner before the last one.
Oh, the chase.
Yeah, it spun around a couple times.
So, I guess all of you can ask this question. How is it like driving Bathurst, especially in a situation where you're battling other drivers? It's hard enough doing it on like a qualifying situation where it's just yourself. Now having to look at other drivers and kind of have to worry about them. How does that change your mindset?
Honestly, it was very tough, especially Mr. Allison, who I was pretty much battling for first place on that end. Yeah, we had some contacts. Probably my fault. Who knows at this point? But it was definitely close racing. But like he kept me on my toes, especially me not trying to make any mistakes to send them into a wall, and especially me trying not to catch a mistake myself and sending myself into the wall. It pretty much made me like go into a flow-like state. Like at this point, it's only me and just myself at this race.
Sug, Easton, anything to follow up with that?
Yeah, I'm still kind of shook of what just went on. It was quite insane. I definitely that send in turn in race 1 was definitely my fault. So I'm so glad I did not hit Allison.
I didn't want to say anything on that, but like we came out of replay and all of a sudden you're like 5 feet in the air. Like,
yeah,
what happened?
I'm super glad I recovered and was able to get, I think, back up into 5th. So I am happy about that. But yeah, I definitely got a little too excited there.
It's fine. It's the season finale. Everyone's allowed to get excited. I think, honestly, the best person to ask this question is probably Easton, because he was kind of in the back-ish for this. Did anyone see what happened behind them in race 2, lap 1? Did anybody see it?
I did not. I did not see anything behind my rear mirror.
Easton, did you see anything?
I don't recall.
Yeah, because behind you guys in lap 1, Sullivan kind of got overtaken by the KTM, and then they kind of make contact going into that upper left-hand corner, and then Sullivan hit the wall again, and then hit the wall again, and then kind of spun out into the path of every car, and then another car hit him, and then another car hit him, and then another car there was a massive pileup behind you guys.
Just an entire domino effect. Oh god.
That's why it was literally you top 6 and nobody else, because everyone else behind you died. But congratulations to you guys for your podiums, and to Santiago, what the SimGrid application finally decides to update, we'll get to find out if you're the winner or not.
Yes, but honestly, it's a shame Mr. Ramirez did get disqualified and didn't make it in somewhat close to my range, but hopefully the points are close enough to call it a close enough finish between us, because he's definitely a good driver.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind as well is there is a drop round, so this might come into play as well as his drop round, and then his other drop round from previous might get bumped up. So it's all still to play for as the SimGrid Championship needs to get finalized. But nonetheless, congrats to all of you on the fantastic race around Bathurst. I don't want to downplay anything in that sense, Brian. Yeah, we should really wait for the complete final results from SimGrid just to absolutely be certain of that. But nonetheless, congrats to all of you. Great battles all season long. Many podium time sitters with us tonight in the stream room. And yeah, looking forward to what's next for you guys. And yeah, really want to thank you guys for putting on a great show for us to commentate on in the booth. It's really been fun to watch you guys progress throughout the season, through all the different challenges, through the wet weather, through the walls here at Bathurst. So really big round of applause to you guys from us for doing what you guys do out on track.
I agree.
Thank you guys for an amazing season. It was the best I've had.
Yep, I can agree with that one. I can agree with Sug on that one. This is the best racing I've ever had and the funnest, and I hope to keep racing with you guys for the future onward.
Well, you might not be in the rookies, but you'll definitely be in the Open. All right, we're actually gonna head off to the Open, so I'm gonna put you guys in a different channel as we have the prize to give away, Kuja.
Yeah, we sure do. Before we head to the Open Championship, that next level racing prize of the haptic gaming pad is now up for draw here. It is going to a random participant who participated in 7 of the 8 races with us this championship. We have 10 drivers eligible for the prize. They participated in a staggering... Eric says, wait, we shall wait, as you say.
Oh, we were told to wait. Okay.
We were
All
told
right,
to
folks.
wait. Neil, we were told to wait, so we will do just that. And we will get to that
That's
later.
a little... Is there,
What do you mean?
He's asking, is there a wheel?
Oh, there was gonna be. Yeah. I was getting to that, my friend. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're building
And
this
we're
up.
being
We're
rated.
building this up.
And
We've
we're
got a
being
raid from
rated.
IB Schofield, 17 Raiders out in joining us at the perfect moment for the prize draw for the Rookies Championship, that haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. Let's see who the prize will go to. Here is the random wheel with our 10 participants in this coming prize draw. So let's spin the wheel and see who wins the prize from Next Level Racing. The spin is underway. Who will the prize go to? How about that? It's going to Brian DeSantiago. The winner of both race 1 and 2 also finds himself with a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. Congrats to you, Brian, on the fantastic season, and you get a prize to top it all off.
Could you imagine if he wins the championship and he's gotten the gaming pad?
Yeah, how about that?
Can you imagine? It's not supposed to have gone to the winner, but somehow it has.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so congrats to Brian on getting that prize from our good friends at Next Level Racing, and thank you to them for providing that awesome prize of the haptic gaming pad to our winner here at Random, who participated in 7 of the 8 races in the Rookies season. A fantastic Rookies season it has been in the spring season, and to close it all off, we have the Open Championship to wrap up tonight's evening. So let's head down to the track and see what the action is all about. As Tyler was saying, we do have some wet conditions out on track currently. Justin Beachley navigating the chase, going up to the final corner, and he is going to go off to the pits, change of tires, refuel his number 18 Mercedes. 8 minutes into the qualifying session so far, Ricardo Rivera has the time to beat, a 2:20.670. Justin Beachley in second, Neil Kerbel in third, Austin Doyle in fourth, Professor Chronotis in fifth, Alex Freeman in sixth, Eric Velez in seventh, and Valerio Martino in eighth. The last of those setting a valid lap for the time being.
Now, to the to everyone that's joined us from the Rookies and continued watching, thank you. The Open drivers will surely probably appreciate that, getting their race looked at by the hundreds of people that have watched so far today. The qualifying and the race format for the Open is a little bit different. Qualifying, there is no restriction between odds and evens. Everyone just goes out as they please. But the qualifying rules obviously still stay the same. Don't block other drivers' qualifying laps, make a gap, blah, blah, blah. However, in the race, there is no sprint. It is a 50-minute kind of somewhat endurance stint, and you must make one pit stop. 25 seconds fixed refueling. Tires adds another 5 seconds, but in the wet, we might not see that tire be very important. But right as the talking point stands, and thank you very much to Director Kuja for putting the camera on this man, this is the current championship leader. This is Ricardo Rivera, the man if there wasn't the stand-in the Nürburgring, or Watkins would probably have this championship already tied in hand, but he does not. So he has to race in this very, very already unforgiving track now with even more unforgiving conditions. And per the camp of Neil Kerbel, actually, the Kerbel can still win this championship. It is still up for grabs. However, he would have to win with fastest lap, and Ricardo Rivera would have to finish 11th or worse. But
Yeah.
it is Bathurst, Kuja.
It is Bathurst. We've seen some crazy stuff in the rookies, and like you mentioned, the rain certainly adding another challenging element to the mix here. Neil Kerbel sits in 5th place in the 395 McLaren. Austin Doyle, the former rookie, finds himself in 2nd place in the number 11 Porsche, about 1 second off of pole position. And Neil Kerbel coming up to a bit of traffic here. Valerio Martino also on a hot lap, I believe, in the 111 Porsche, joining from the rookies race into the Open Series. And we will certainly, I am more than certain, we will see a couple of promotions from the rookie series into this Open from the last season, as Neil Kerbel up to the line, not quite able to improve his lap time, just a couple of hundredths down on his previous best. Still, with a bit under half the qualifying to go, is a bit under pressure to try and get that quick lap time.
Definitely Kerbel, knowing this championship is at stake, knowing they have to qualify as high as possible to hope that Ricardo Rivera gets in an incident enough where he finishes in 11th. Now, that's a tall ask, especially from the gods, but I apparently have the cursed touch, according to a few drivers and according to a fellow commentator that's currently sitting in the booth right now. So,
oh, I'm not immune to the commentator's curse either, my friend.
Yes, but you've told me I've got the curse, though. That's the thing. That you told me that before we started, that I have the curse. So
it's true.
And you saw what happened with Sugg. I made a comment about him and DeSantiago being in the gravel out of the replay, and I would be very sad. And then he goes flying over Joe Allenson.
Yep. We certainly saw a bit of everything in the rookies from themes past. Lots of tight battles for the lead. Lots of commentators' curses coming into play. A bit of drama in the mid to backfield as well with that incident in race 2. But nonetheless, that championship is now wrapped up. And we are in the final round of the Open Series in the GT4 Championship on Mondays here at Trackalicious. The 20-minute qualifying session underway, just about 7 minutes left to go for the drivers to improve their times or even set a valid time. We have 5 drivers still yet to complete a valid lap, and even just completing a valid lap can send them way up the grid order.
Oh yeah, it's definitely important to set a valid lap here at Bathurst, and that's Austin Doyle moving themselves up into oh no, sorry, that was Neil Kerbel moving themselves up to within 0.6 of Ricardo Rivera. However, that time so far looking unmatched from the McLaren driver, as that is DeSantiago coming to the line next to start a flying lap. The conditions for DeSantiago and Porkchop and Sugg and Gorgensen and Martino a lot different than what they faced not 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, absolutely different from the dry and hot conditions that the rookies had. Wet and fairly mild here. 19 degrees on both track and air as Dr. Porkchop returns back to the pits. Fresh set of tires to go on that car. Jason Provolone, it ain't easy being cheesy. The number 82 currently sits in 6th place, about 1.6 seconds off of pole position. Needs about 0.3 to gain a position on Ramon Torres and slide into that top 5.
I think it can be done. There's a lot of time to gain, and that is Professor Chronotis moving do believe, up into P4 or Beachley. Yep, it was Cronos moving themselves up. But yeah, no, it is. These track conditions are very, very difficult. And so you'll have these times that don't look very representative of the drivers that normally have much quicker pace. Sorry, folks, it's about 10 Eastern. It's almost my bedtime. But yeah, no, there's a lot of time to gain for some of these. Maybe not Ricardo, but some drivers definitely have more time to give here.
Yeah, certainly the wet conditions, what the drivers have been practicing in all week long, but it is a very random weather prediction system where it could rain a lot, it could rain a little, and it looks like they got stuck with a lot this time, as Wade Georgeson is the 707 just moving off to the side of the road, letting Professor Chronotis go through in his 42 McLaren, going up the mountain in these wet conditions for his qualifying attempt.
Must avoid the walls. These walls, the track's already slippery enough. So the walls, sorry folks, the walls get kind of pulled into you, especially with the kind of cambered and off-cambered corners of this track. You kind of get pulled in, especially, and it's made infinitely more worse by the wet conditions. So you almost want to take it with a sense of ease and like be careful, but like careful isn't what Bathurst is supposedly about. You just gotta full send it, even regardless of the conditions.
Yeah, you really do, especially in a qualifying session with as tight of lap times as we're seeing here. Just about a couple of hundredths separating Neil Kerbel and Justin Beachley, and about a tenth from Chronotis to Ramon Torres. Ricardo Rivera improves his lap time at the top to a 219.965, about 9/10 clear of his championship rival Neil Kerbel, who currently sits in second place, just a few hundredths up on Justin Beachley in his Mercedes.
Definitely. Apparently, it can be bested from Ricardo Rivera, so I'm apparently wrong. But this, again, qualifying high is nice, but in these wet conditions, oh my God, Santiago's drifting.
He sure
kept
is.
That going? That was
Yeah.
crazy. That car was almost sideways. So, like, great save by the Santiago there, but that BMW is twitching all over the road right now.
Yeah, let's take a look at the replay. Yeah, let's see exactly how he caught that slide going through the mountain section. It all looks well in here between Frogs Hollow and McPhillamy Park, but as he approaches it, just drifts it around. And that was great car control from Brian DeSantiago, keeping the BMW pointed in the correct direction, and now down the mountain he goes, should be going down the Conrad Straight, approaching the chase now for his qualifying lap attempt. No time on the board yet from the BMW driver, and any time will certainly boost him up the standings. Let's see what time Brian can do here in the MPG Racing BMW. One corner left to navigate. Murray's corner 23, around Bathurst, up to the line in the BMW, still not able to set a valid lap, is Brian DeSantiago.
Well, he's got one more chance to do it. I, however, need to step away from the mic for just a few minutes. I should be back in time for the race, so you will get the lovely sounding Kuja for most likely the rest of qualifying.
Sounds good to me. Ramon Torres, blistering lap time from him in the McLaren, goes to second place, takes the position from Beachley and Neil Kerbel, and pulls off. Will not able to improve in his qualifying session. Austin Doyle, just a few corners to go here in the Doyle Mosport livery, representing the Washington Capitals here this evening, playing in their East Conference round 2 of the playoffs, as he goes up to the line and goes up into the top 5. In fourth place, gets by the McLaren of Neil Kerbel, who is on a lap himself and needs to put it down on this last attempt as the time is winding down in the session. He is approaching the mountain and going up nearly through Skyline now. Let's ride on board with the McLaren driver as he goes through McPhillamy Park, through Skyline, and now down the hill. Gravity, you kind of for him, kind of against him. Much more difficult to break down the hill. Lot more grip asked for from the tires as he goes through the dipper and in to Forrest's Elbow, turn number 18. Just the Conrad straight, the chase, and the final corner left for Neil Kerbel to improve on his qualifying lap as the timer hits 0. The checkered flag will be waving. Ricardo Rivera and Ramon Torres in the pits from first and second. They will not be able to improve their times. Neil Kerbel going through the Conrad straight, through the kink, pretty much flat out into the braking zone of the chase. Part 1 done very well on the throttle through part 2, and now just one corner left for the McLaren to get it done in this final qualifying session of the championship. How high can Neil Kerbel go in the Kerbel race program? Up to the line. He goes up to second place, takes it away from Ramon Torres and Justin Beachley. And Justin Beachley is in the pits as well, so the only person able to change the positions in the top 5 for the moment is Austin Doyle, the 34 of Colin Sugg, out in front on track. Just one corner left for the fellow Porsche driver, the number 34 here. Just Murray's corner left before the short blast to the start finish line. How high can Colin Sugg go? Coming from the rookies, he gets himself into the top 10.
Nice. What a lap. What a lap from the drivers. I am now back, folks. So good on. And Doyle Motorsport crosses the line and stays P5. So the only one left on the lap is Dr. Porkchop. And just a quick little scoreboard watch. The Hurricanes actually defeated the Capitals 5-2 and currently lead the series 3-1. So,
well, we've got
Doyle, I'm sorry it's not working out for your Capitals.
Well, don't worry. There will be another driver on the grid who will be happy to hear those news, and we will get to that during the grid walk where we show all the drivers' liveries. Dr. Porkchop, one corner left in his qualifying session of the Open Championship. How high can the Alpine go in the 71 coming from the rookies race into the wet mountain of the Open Championship? Currently sits in 13th, a valid lap on the board. He is able to improve his time, but not able to improve his position. We've got a hydrate from One Bigley. Thanks so much, good friend One Bigley. As the race engineer reminding us it's wet and wild out there. Take it easy and just try to get around in this 50-minute race we have ahead.
And yes, I am positive about that news.
Tyler, absolutely positive about the news.
Oh my, we might see a little bit of battle over here on the grid. Caps versus Canes on the ice now. Now we're going to have Caps versus Canes on the track.
Yep, and as I mentioned during the grid walk, you will get to see exactly what I mean here. Let's take us through the starting grid in the championship finale of the Open Series. Ricardo Rivera in a very familiar position, leading the grid from the beginning. Puerto Rico E-Racing Club McLaren, number 787, will line up on the front row in pole position. And as we've seen it all season long, Neil Kerbel keeping him company in the 395 McLaren, the Kerbel race program, finding a time good enough for second place right at the end of qualifying. Ramon Torres, a top 3 all McLarens. Ramon Torres rounding them out in the 181. Justin Beachley will look to change that in the AMG Beach GT number 18. Lots of cats. Very cute livery from Justin Livery. And he will look to take those cats into a podium position. The Caps fan, Austin Doyle, the Doyle Motorsport number 11, lines up in 5th position. Lining up alongside him in the third row is Professor Chronotis in the Trackalicious LSR 24-hour number 42 McLaren. Forgot what car that was for a second. Jason Provolone, it ain't easy being cheesy. The number 82 Aston Martin has 7th place on the grid. He will have James Pierre Reed in the Celsius Auto Sport KTM for company. The number 15 lines up in 8th place. And now the Canes fan, Alex Freeman, almost said Alex Hansen. Now it's Alex Freeman, the Bunch of Jerks Racing, number 14, showing his Carolina Hurricanes off proudly in the race here in 9th place. Colin Sugg coming from the rookies in the top 10 in the number 34 Slug Racing Porsche. Eric Velez, the first Camaro on the grid in the PREC number 88, will try to slide into that top 10 position starting in 11th place. Brian DeSantiago coming off of the race wins in the rookies in 12th place at the moment in the NPG Racing 777 BMW. Fellow rookie alongside him in 13th, Dr. Porkchop, the Chop Shop Racing number 71 Alpine, has Jacob Church for company in the one Bigley 353 Camaro in 14th place. Last but not least, Wade Georgeson, the Ford 20-ounce 707 McLaren, lines up in 15th position.
Yeah, I think one driver's happier than the other. But Kerbal and Rivera, this is a battle that could determine the championship final and who will win the haptic gaming pad by Next Level Racing, and currently it's in the hands of Ricardo Rivera. Now that can change, Kuja, but it'll take a miracle.
Yeah, it sure will. And speaking of that, let's take a look at how the standings look in the Open Championship so far. Like we've been saying, Ricardo Rivera has a 29-point lead in the championship. It is pretty good, but it is not sealed, folks. He needs a strong finish still to seal the championship here. Of course, there are drop rounds to consider as well. Neil Kerbal has that second place position, the closest rival to Ricardo Rivera to take that championship lead from him. Justin Beachley has third place. Ramon Torres is in fourth. Austin Doyle in fifth. And Alex Freeman in 6th, Professor Chronotis in 7th, and those 5 have a pretty close battle there amongst themselves. Any one of them can finish in the top 3 of the championship, depending on how this race goes. And last but not least in this picture, Potts Weaver is in 8th in the overall standings.
It'll definitely be fun. It'll be a blast, that's for sure. The wet conditions, it being Bathurst. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm trying to avoid giving predictions here, folks.
Yeah, no predictions. Absolutely anything can happen around Bathurst. Anything, and absolutely, I mean anything can happen. We saw it in the rookies races. The walls come up quick, and if there is a car off the road in front, they could be taking up the majority of it, blocking the whole road, and there could be just absolutely nowhere to go. So it really is down to playing it safe, especially in these rainy conditions, and just making sure you see the checkered flag at the end. Ricardo Rivera has the lead of the championship out in front in pole position, and we see just how rainy it is. The spray is going to be a real problem for the drivers behind. Let's ride on board with one of them for this formation lap, Professor Chronotis, and this is just them going around at formation lap speed. Imagine at racing speed, trying to see just exactly where the braking lights of the car in front will start going off for all the braking zones. And as they approach the Conrads, or as they go through the Conrad Straight, I should say, this is their last chance to get the tires, get the brakes, and get themselves ready for the 50-minute race we have ahead of us to close the season.
It'll definitely be a situation where I experienced this in Kielami DRL with the GT3s. It's very, very difficult, especially when you're in such a crowded middle section like Provolone and Reed. where the spray from the front of the drivers is almost blinding. It's debilitating. You can't see in front of you. You can't see, especially if there's no visible braking markers and you're kind of using the road as your guide mark. The road just will eventually disappear. So it'll be interesting to see how these drivers take it, but it means nothing now. The race will begin, and this will decide who wins in the championship, but a significant advantage goes to Ricardo Rivera already. Again, 11th or lower will give 11th or lower plus Kerbal winning with fastest lap will give him the race and the championship.
Yeah, it sure will. Down the main straight they go, waiting for the green flag to release them for round 8, the season finale of the Spring Championship. The McLarens get a good start. Justin Beachley is alongside Ramon Torres, though. He is going to try to change things up. There's a bit of contact. Neil Kerbal and Ramon Torres into turn 1, and Neil Kerbal is facing the wrong way. Professor Chronotis getting bumped by JP Reed in the background. All the other drivers avoiding the carnage, and this is really good news for Ricardo Rivera, as he is able to jump about 2 seconds in front of Justin Beachley for the time being. It is side by side. Austin Doyle looking to get that podium position. From Ramon Torres to the inside he goes, and he takes it into turn 2. But Ramon Torres is gonna cling on to the back of that Porsche for dear life. He goes a little bit wide, and now Chronotis is gonna try to sneak on through Ramon Torres as well as they enter the mountain for the first time on the race.
The racing gods beeth the cruel mistress. The torpedo that was aimed for Ricardo Rivera hits Neil Kerbal and sends Neil Kerbal all the way down. The championship pretty much needing divine intervention now for Neil Kerbal, as not only would Ricardo Rivera have to fall to amazing levels, Kerbal will have to basically go last to first. So it's not over till it's over, folks, but it's not looking good, as Eric Velez got front end damage on that. No, it looks actually okay. It just looks weird because of the livery design. The spray going through the mountain is debilitating. The walls creep ever closer to you, and Kyle Hirsch Racing is correct. No, and all the pain. Wet Bathurst does indeed mean anything is possible.
Yeah, 100%. Anything is possible. Eric Velez getting into the top 10 after starting in 11th place. And like you said, it did look like, I agree with, there was a bit of front end damage it looked like, but I think it was just the spray coming off of the car in front, which is Colin Sugg coming from the rookies, also advancing into a strong top 10 position after starting in 10th. He has Velez for company from behind. He will certainly look to keep that strong position that he started in for the time being. Jason Provolone not too far up the road in the cheese, or it ain't easy being cheesy. Not too far off of Chronotis. Alex Freeman diving into the pits. JP Reed as well. Same with Neil Kerbal, taking those early pit stops and getting it out of the way early. Purple J, thanks for following along, and thanks to all the follows we missed earlier while we were trying to keep up with all the action in the race here. Thank you guys very much for following along. Hope you guys are enjoying the rookies race we had earlier, and now the open season finale here at a wet Bathurst.
Definitely love the wet conditions. Maybe not at Bathurst, but definitely love the wet conditions. It will mean chaos. Again, these drivers, 25 fixed time for refueling, 5 seconds for extra tires. Kerbal will most likely have damage to repair, with that being the fact he was turned around the wrong direction into turn 1, which is unfortunate, and that is De Santiago in the wall.
Yeah, he was facing the wrong way. Hopefully he was able to avoid the wall. Might have just oversteered the BMW coming out of the cutting before going up the hill through Frog Hollow, but he is able to keep his car rolling, and he is still in the race here.
Doyle in a podium position. I don't think he'll win the race, but he's definitely in a podium position.
Oh, very strong position here for the Porsche to be in after the contact from the two McLarens in front sees Beachley and Doyle occupy second and third place for the time being, but that might change. The 253 of Jacob Church back in the pits, the 707 under a yellow flag as well, going through the dipper, and that is Brian DeSantiago approaching that corner. Austin Doyle not quite close enough. We've seen it in the rookies where the straight line speed of the Porsche isn't quite as strong as some of the other cars in the grid, and we know the Mercedes is a very strong competitor around, or in all around sections really, especially down the straights.
Yeah, the straights is where the Mercedes will pull away from this Porsche, but the Porsche will be better in the mountain section. It's a small, agile frame, able to take the corners a little bit better in the Merc. Not too much though. I don't want to get the boss's attention by beating down on the Mercedes here. Would not want to do that. So, Beachley should be able to handle the Austin Doyle with the fastest lap of the race right now.
Yeah, Austin Doyle, yeah, showing some quick pace in that Porsche behind Justin Beachley. 7/10 off at the timing sector that they went through. Should be going through another one here, about 8/10. Certainly the straight line speed of the Mercedes showing its pace there, as sector 1 is basically just the first corner, the main straight, and then the second corner. Or sorry, not the main straight, the mountain straight, and then the second corner. But this sector here, the mountain, is really where the Porsche will shine, taking a lot of curbs there, though, as they go up the hill through the crest of McPhillamy Park, and now back down they go through Skyline. Austin Doyle not quite able to close the gap through or up the mountain. The power of the AMG very helpful going up, but back down, the nimbleness of the Porsche will really help, and it certainly looks like those headlights are much closer to the rear end of Justin Beachley here.
Ooh, keep it out of the wall, Doyle. Doyle going a little bit wide, allowing the Mercedes of Beachley to kind of not get away fully, but definitely lose some time, and especially in the straight where you need that ability to kind of stay in play. It won't be devastating to Doyle, but it does ruin his chances to get past Beachley a little bit quicker. And the toe, even when it's wet, the toe is still the toe. It'll still give you something.
Yeah, it'll certainly give you a slight slipstream advantage. Provolone looking to close the gap to the Professor in front in the McLaren. McLaren in front of the Aston Martin here of Jason Provolone. Saw some fans of the cheese throwing the cheese emojis in the chat. Good to see the support, as always, from all the chatters to the drivers here in the Open Series. Just about 8 minutes under our belts here in the Open race this evening. About 5 drivers have completed their pit stops. Alex Freeman is in the lead of those who have pitted, but Neil Kerbel is hot on his tail going through the Conrad Straight. Neil Kerbel around the outside going through the kink, or just before the kink, I should say. The McLaren gets the move done on the Aston Martin, and that is a really, really strong recovery so far from Neil Kerbel. He is out in the lead of the cars who have pitted so far.
What a move. Again, just the straight line speed of the McLaren is just too much for any other car to deal with. It could be the fastest car in the goddamn world. It could be an F1 car. But the GT4 McLaren just absolutely dominates the field. And yeah, the Cheese Man gets some much needed support. But the Twitch name, the Wet Socks, really? That is a name, my friend.
Yeah, certainly some creative names out on Twitch. Jason Provolone, the Cheese Man himself, closing the gap to the Professor through the mountain, but down the straights, the McLaren really using that straight line speed to its advantage from the trackside cameras. The rain is absolutely pouring down here at Mount Panorama as the two drivers here battling for a top 5 position between Pernotis and Provolone, 5th and 6th up for debate between the McLaren and the Aston Martin. The McLaren has the straight line speed advantage and has a track position at the moment. Jason Provolone looking to change things up though.
Now, folks, just a little bit of information for you. If you look on your screen right now, obviously pit window, the time, and the time remaining in the race, it's set to 45 seconds. But if you look a little bit over to the right, you can kind of see what the weather is going to be forecasted for later. Track's wet, 19 degrees, air and temp, winds coming in from the northwest, blowing southeast at around 3 kilometers an hour. But if you see you can see the rain in the forecast. That little plus symbol means it's going to increase. The track may be wet right now, but Kuja, if the rain continues to pour like this, and it's only going to get heavier, we might get a flooded track.
Yeah, we just might. Really, really treacherous conditions for any sort of racing really to go down. I'm sure no race director would really approve of this, but our race directors show no fear, and they throw danger into the arms of the drivers here in the season finale nonetheless around the mountain at Bathurst. And like you said, the rain looks like it is really picking up and daylight is fading as well. 8:17 in game in the evening, and the light is certainly going darker as the headlights will be much more helpful as the sun sets here at Mount Panorama.
The sun sets, but the skies continue to cry and just absolutely burn as it just seems to be never ending. The stream of water is just being dumped down onto this hill. And where it's draining, I don't know, but puddles are definitely going to begin to form, especially as the track keeps getting wetter and wetter and wetter. Ricardo Rivera still holding on to this championship lead and win as of right now. Kerbal nowhere near the P1 and fastest lap with Ricardo Rivera 11th. He needs to make this championship his, so Kerbal needs to continue pushing, but Ricardo Rivera, honestly, relax, chill out. He's in a good enough position as it is.
Yeah, he's in a really good position to see this championship. Running a little bit wide at the final corner there, though. And like you mentioned there, Purple J, progressively wetter and dark Bathurst. Other races would be stopped, but we don't stop for anything here at Trackalicious. We race on. Neil Kerbal, having to, like you mentioned, has a bit of catching up to do, but he is out in the lead of those who have done their pit stops, has plenty of clean air in front to work with to try and hammer down those fast lap after fast lap. And the rain really coming into play here. So much spray getting kicked up from the drivers. Austin Doyle is trying everything he can to close the gap to the Mercedes in front in this battle for second and third, but that gap just increases and goes back down lap by lap. It just seems like just a little mistake here and there from one driver and then followed on the next lap by the other, and the gap just goes and then it takes and it goes and it takes. So we will just have to wait and see just who ends up in that second or third podium position.
Doyle almost ate the wall there, barely, like centimeters or inches if you're American, which if you're American, please change your measurement system. So close to the wall there by Doyle, but just barely, and I mean barely manages to keep it out as the 707 of Wade Gorgonson brings out a yellow flag in the third sector. What the hell? Nairad says, what the hell in these conditions? Also, stream res is not optimal. Yeah, I think it's because it's raining so hard.
Yeah, it really might be because of the severe weather that Bathurst is experiencing. The cameras can't quite give us a crisp feed, a very accurate simulation in that sense, I should say, for Bathurst, for doing that sort of part justice. But yeah, apologies on that part. Nothing we can really do at that point with the conditions being the way they are. It's getting darker and darker, and this is the heaviest rain we have ever seen on ACC, says our good friend Nairads. And yeah, I agree. This is pretty much as monsoon of conditions as you can get. But Austin,
And it's only going to get worse.
yeah, and it's only going to get worse with that plus symbol, like you mentioned. And so the drivers just have to weather the storm, as they say, quite literally here, though, as the storm is right overhead.
Yeah, it's almost like it's just a stationary storm that's just pounding the track, dropping rain after rain after rain, bucking and buck. You can't even see Doyle behind Beachley. You
Just
can't
imagine,
even see him.
just imagine what Doyle has to see.
He probably doesn't even see Beachley. Like, that is incredible. The amount of spray. Oh my, you can't see Beachley. How, the only way you know Beachley is there is because the spray is there. Literally, Nairati says that spray looks like smoke from a blown engine. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and it doesn't look like our camera's picking up the wiper, but I'm sure it is an absolutely full blast for Colin, or it's not Colin Sugg, excuse me, this is Austin Doyle in the Porsche. So used to saying Colin Sugg in the podium positions from the rookie race, but he is in 7th place in his 34 Porsche, now in the Open Series, coming over from that strong podium finish in the rookies, finds himself in a really good top 10 finish here at the moment, currently in 7th place, but still yet to do his pit stop, and plenty of other drivers behind have already done that.
Yeah, Kerbel's definitely leading the Alex Dreamin early pit stop lead race, but that means nothing as he got spun around into turn 1. Sadly for him, hit the championship for him almost over as it started. Yeah, it's just Doyle almost having to stay about 9 seconds, almost a full second back just to actually see where he's going. Like, I love driving in the wet. Don't get me wrong. I love it, but like, this is absolutely insane. This is legitimately the worst conditions I've ever seen.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy, and like Purple J said, absolute respect to the drivers in these conditions. So much crazy skill level being displayed here. We saw Brian DeSantiago drifting it at the top of the hill, and does ACC have flash flood mechanics? I am not really sure what that entails. Yeah, and I don't think it does. I think it just kind of blasts everywhere. And then, yeah, and I hate the wet, and this is just roast. I think I meant to say wrong or something else. But yeah, nonetheless, very treacherous conditions for these GT4 cars to go around Bathurst. But nonetheless, we must conclude the season. Justin Beachley running a little bit wide, getting very close to the wall there. The worst. Close, very close to what I thought, but nonetheless, Justin Beachley running a little bit wide. The Porsche getting much closer to the rear bumper on this lap than the previous occasion.
Well, the good news, Beachley's all, just as we mentioned, Doyle runs wide and taps the wall. Well, I was about to say, well, good news for Doyle is that Beachley's run a little bit wide, so he can catch up. But the problem is you almost don't want to catch up, because this is what you're going to get yourself into.
Yeah,
It looks like he's just pulled that kind of grenade, like he's like pulled that smoke grenade and has just placed it on the back of his car and is just driving with it.
Yeah, except it's the longest smoke grenade you have ever seen in the world, as it is going on for a whole 28 minutes of racing so far, and still 32 to go. The top 8 yet to complete their pit stops. JP Reed in the box again, already completing a mandatory pit stop, maybe in the box now, this time for a bit of damage.
Yeah, I think Reed definitely did have damage. He was in actually yellow flagged in the mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a car back there, as you can see ever so briefly through your screens. Austin Doyle is there, but you wouldn't know because you can't see him. He's invisible.
Yeah.
This is insane. This is so crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy conditions here around the mountain. As it's known as, the mountain here at Mount Panorama, located near Bathurst. These are public roads for most of the year, it is kind of like a public park in the sense that Albert Park is for the Australian Grand Prix, and this is just a public park. These are public roads that anybody, me or you, can go drive down on and visit this absolutely wonderful circuit. It is closed, of course, to the public as a road for any sort of racing that goes on. Kind of pretty similar to Monaco in that sense, as well as it's just public roads, but Monaco, of course, not going around a mountain like they do here at Bathurst, adding a whole other element of challenge to the drivers. 2 high-speed straights down the mountain straight and the Conrad straight to close the lap. A very, very tight mountain section with walls left and right. Austin Doyle going through that section now, taking the curbing very heavily on the inside of Solman Park before going back down the hill of Mount Panorama, trying to close the gap to Justin Beachley in front.
I'm waiting for someone to flip their car. Like, you imagine flipping it in these conditions? You'd think it'd be easy, but like, all these drivers so far have managed to kind of survive, which, again, props to them. This is insane. I have a hard time getting around in the dry at Bathurst. I can't imagine doing this in the wet. So I'll give congrats to Sugg and De Santiago and Porkchop, who all drove in the dry earlier today. And just to come in and immediately drive the wet, it's insane.
Yeah, it really
is.
Doyle's
come a long way, I agree, Mitch.
Yeah, 100%, Mitch. Yeah, everybody from the rookies has certainly shown their true promise here in the Open. Everybody getting promoted up into the series, and the rookies from the current season also racing, showing really good promise with some good top 10 finishes throughout the season. Colin Sugg and Dr. Porkchop both in the top 10 at the moment, but have still yet to do that mandatory pit stops. We will still have to wait and see. Is that a Washington Capitals livery? It sure is. We have got some East Coast hockey representation tonight from Austin Doyle and Alex Freeman as well, representing the my goodness, got those mixed up. The Carolina Hurricanes in the bunch of jerks racing Aston Martin. He is sending it currently, doing that early pit stop, as we are always used to seeing from Alex Freeman in the number 14. It is getting absolutely darker and darker by the minute here. Colin Sugg in the pits from 7th place, serving that mandatory 25-second refueling pit stop. Alex Freeman going through the chase at the moment before the final corner. Let's see where Alex Freeman ends up relative to Colin Sugg. I believe he was ahead of them before Alex Freeman took that early undercut pit stop, so this will be interesting to see just where Colin Sugg comes out, as he is still stationary in the pits.
Yeah, he's coming out now, but I don't think he's going to get to the limit line in time, so that'll be a spot gained for Mr. Freeman, as the top 7 and Church have yet to pit. So Doyle has backed off, not significantly, but enough so that it's gaps now from the last sector timing chart, 1.6 seconds. The spray proving a little bit too much maybe for Doyle, as yeah, like this would be red flagged in any other, but not with us, not when it's the season finale.
No, certainly not so much. And this really is a display of skill from the drivers, being able to keep their cars pointed in the correct direction in these absolutely wet and wild conditions around Bathurst. We've seen some wet weather racing in the season, but nothing as heavy as this so far. Nearing the halfway point of the race, Austin Doyle dives into the pits from that final podium position. From 3rd position goes Austin Doyle to the pits. That'll give a couple of positions to those who have yet to stop: Ramon Torres, Chronotis, and Jason Provolone. But now the race is certainly on between Austin Doyle and Neil Kerbel. That'll be very interesting to see where Kerbel comes out relative to Austin Doyle. Jason Provolone as well in the pits from 6th position. Dr. Porkchop in the Alpine just in front of Neil
This is for
Kerbel.
position.
This is for position, but Dr. Porkchop has yet to stop, so the strategy between these two is a little different. It is up to Dr. Porkchop really to see how hard he wants to defend this position. That the position is his, so he can defend it with all his might, and he doesn't as he dives into the pits to serve his mandatory pit stop. Austin Doyle is done, and he is rolling, and he is back out onto the mountain straight out of the pits as Neil Kerbel crosses the line to start his lap going through the first corner. There is the Washington Capitals Porsche in the foreground of shot, and that is the gap Neil Kerbel has to close down if he wants to get that position from Austin Doyle in front.
Definitely going to be difficult for him to do. The Cheeseman is out. He also just been passed by Neil Kerbel, so definitely Kerbel's going to be on the push to get Austin Doyle, but how much more can he push? Those tires have taken an absolute beating, to say the least. And Colin Sugg might have a chance at the Cheeseman here if things all play out. And that is the halfway point of this race, folks. Can you believe that? And the track conditions are only going to get wetter.
Yeah, still plenty to go. 10 laps in so far. Should have about another 10 to go as Ricardo Rivera is going to come up to the line here to start his 12th lap, as this is technically lap number 11 going to be completed for him now as he goes up to the line to start another lap. Not going into the pits is him or Justin Beachley, neither is Ramon Torres. We'll see if Professor Chronotis decides to dive into the pits after the Cheese Man. Jason Provolone was in a pretty good battle with him before the pit stop, electing to go a little bit earlier, and it does look like the Professor is into the pit lane, and he is going to try to get the overcut done and dusted here.
And there is Chronotis in the pits, just like you called. It's almost like you knew. You're secretly in his ear. You're secretly his race engineer.
But I was just watching the track map, to be honest.
Sure, blame the track map for your insider info, but never. What can be worse, a hurricane? Oh,
just you wait.
Ban this guy. Ban this man. Ban this man for the pun right now.
Oh my goodness.
That was a horrible pun. That was awful. I need a minute. Take over.
Fair enough. The Hurricane car driving through the hurricane here. Alex Freeman goes through the start-finish line. Professor Chronotis was at the end of the pit lane. This will be a good battle between these two. The McLaren will have a bit of a disadvantage in straight line speed. Can Alex Freeman get a good corner exit and close down on the Professor in front? Alex Freeman taking that early pit stop in the Hurricanes. Aston Martin, the bunch of jerks racing. The number 14 currently finds himself in 7th position with the Professor in front after taking that pit stop. Neil Kerbel was able to get through the Professor as well. Jason Provolone, though, finding himself behind fellow Aston Martin driver Alex Freeman here in 7th. The rain really pouring down from that camera shot. Jeez.
Yeah, it is an absolute rainstorm. You honestly might as well be driving in quite literally a hurricane. Hurricanes do hit Australia. I don't know if they hit Bathurst, but they do definitely hit Australia at some point. But like, it is just rain coming down nearly sideways here in this track. Not to mention the night conditions, and the spray is only going to make this worse.
Yeah, it certainly is. Lots of racing still to go. Over 20 minutes left. More racing than in this rookies sprint race here remaining for our open drivers. But that is still yet to come in the 21.5 minutes remaining. Ricardo Rivera in the lead from Justin Beachley, who has the second place position from Ramon Torres. But top three have still yet to complete their mandatory pit stops in the race. 13 cars still running in the race. That's the number 11 with the yellow flag, I do believe. of Austin.
44.
That's the 44. You're right. It's the 44. Yellow flagged.
No, 88. Sorry, I lied to you.
You liar.
That's Velez.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's Eric
I lied.
Velez here in the 88 under yellow flag at the end of the mountain section before Forrest's elbow. But he is able to keep his Camaro rolling currently in that final top 10 position. We'll look for a strong result in the championship finale here.
God, just standing behind Velez, just that car is just the spray. Everything about it is just being flown right now. Like, these conditions are brutal. Again, there's Alex Freeman behind there, if you can guess. But, like, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see anything. Like, there's nothing to be seen. Like, now you see me 3 is coming out. And I think that's another yellow flag. That was 253. Churchill is the. Wow, that was an abrupt end to the season for Mr. Church, as he DNF'd through the mountain section.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gained on Doyle yet, or at least hasn't gained a lot.
Yeah, right. He's trying his best to gain through the mountain section as best as he can. Austin Doyle is on for a pretty strong lap here according to my Delta charts. So he might have just picked up the pace a little bit in the number 11 Porsche with a really strong showing so far ahead of Neil Kerbel. But Neil Kerbel is going to try to close that gap as best as he can. He was able to on the previous lap and closed it down by a pretty good 2 seconds nonetheless. Maybe a slight mistake from Austin Doyle, but like you said, this spray is absolutely brutal, and it's 1.5 seconds back is Alex Freeman, and this spray is going to be worse and worse as he comes closer to the tail end of the McLaren in front of him.
Again, there are other cars there. There's Freeman, there's the man, Mr. Provolone, also in this kind of semi 3-car battle. Yeah, the stream does look like ass because it can't handle the bit rate. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yep.
It is absolutely. It's not us, trust me. It's the fact it's raining so freaking hard.
Yeah, it's a test of endurance for all of us, both the drivers and the PCs, and seeing if we can even see who's racing through all of this all the spray here.
Honestly, the only reason I know who's racing, not even because of the name on the screen, it's because I know I've gotten used to the liveries already. Like, if these were all just blank cars, I'd be screwed, because literally I wouldn't know who's, other than the display obviously telling me which is which. But again, the top 3 haven't pitted yet. That's interesting. I wonder if they're all going to pit on the same lap. If so, I don't know if Doyle's going to be. Doyle was racing with Beachley and ahead of Torres, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, they were setting pretty similar lap times on the previous lap, around, I should say, between Austin Doyle and Justin Beachley. Austin Doyle just picking up a couple of tenths on Justin Beachley on the previous lap. We'll see what it is on the timing charts as they go around again. And yeah, this is pretty chaotic here with how much weather the drivers are experiencing. Ramon Torres into the pit lane to serve his mandatory 25-second refueling pit stop, and then it is his option to add an additional 5 seconds to take on fresh tires for the remainder of the race. About 16.5 minutes to be had in the race, in the championship finale nonetheless. Round 8 here at Bathurst. Treacherous conditions. Really great show of skill from all of the drivers here this evening.
Torres yet to be done, and that's going to be Doyle and Kerbel passing him in the pits. So Kerbel is gaining places. However, Ricardo Rivera, even if he were to drop into 11th, that's only 2 cars, and like he would have to have significant damage, especially with 16 minutes left to go. Obviously I can't call yet because, you know, it's not triple zeros and he hasn't taken the checkered flag, but Ricardo Rivera is in a very good position to win this championship now.
Yeah, he really is. And with the time going smaller and smaller as the seconds tick away, he is sealing the fate of this championship as the miles go on in the race. A pretty comfortable lead out in front from Justin Beachley. The gap's about 10.3 seconds ahead of the AMG, excuse me, in second place at the moment. But Justin Beachley still yet to do that pit stop. He was battling with Austin Doyle here, drifting it through McPhillamy Park before Skyline, trying to get as much power as he can nearly into the wall there. Very skillful braking, and again trying to get that power down as efficiently as he can, going back down the hill through the downhill section into Forrest's elbow, nearly bottoming out the car. Look, there was a bit of sparks flying underneath. You can still see them despite the rainy conditions, as he has a bunch of clean air in front to work with, as the top two still going around, not going into the pits to do that mandatory pit stop.
It wasn't sparks, it was a lightning strike. With Tampa Bay Lightning out of the playoffs, so there's no pun. There's no pun. And Purple J says, to be fair, if I was racing, I was in the rhythm, I wouldn't want to break it until I had to. That's fair, actually. That's actually a pretty good point. You don't want to interrupt the flow state and then risk going into a wall.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Absolutely brought up by Purple J. And with the gaps they have in front, Ricardo Rivera hasn't really caught up to much lap traffic at the moment, and same with Justin Beachley. He has a pretty comfortable gap in front, so the spray not affecting him. He is able to put down pretty consistent lap times to try and stay in front of Austin Doyle, but he himself, Austin Doyle, is putting in great lap after great lap to try and get this undercut done on the AMG, currently rolling in second place out on track.
Definitely can get it done. Beachley, as long as he doesn't put it in the wall, has a good chance to maintain that P2. Now Doyle is just passing the sector 2 line now, so, or just getting into the sector 2 line now, so quite a bit of ways away from Beachley, but the time to get into the pits, the time to take the pits, the time to get out of the pits, all in all, runs a little bit of time. So by no stretch of the means is P2 out of the range for Doyle here, but maybe Beachley has a mistake going into the pits. Maybe he takes a speeding in the pit lane violation. Like, still, a lot of things can happen in this race. This race is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think the championship is over, as Ricardo Rivera doesn't pit, and neither does Beachley.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, like the chat mentioned here, just in a good state here, just kind of rolling around in the front here, putting in pretty consistent lap after consistent lap, matching their lap time to within a tenth on the previous lap. But Austin Doyle is putting in really good lap times. And yeah, like you mentioned, there is a really good battle going on here between 6th, 7th, and 8th place. They are within 5 seconds of each other, so absolutely anything can change in terms of position if there is any small mistake or any small opening for any of these drivers to take advantage of in front. Professor Chronotis leading the way from Alex Freeman, and fellow Aston Martin driver Jason Provolone, the cheese man, is trying to close the gap to Alex Freeman here. Professor Chronotis using the McLaren straight line speed advantage as best as he possibly can to run away from the two Aston Martins behind, as they are going to start yet another lap here around the mountain.
Again, the Professor's far enough away from Freeman where he doesn't, and then Freeman is far enough away from Provolone where he doesn't. So like, they're kind of in these like weird kind of states where not one driver is faster than another, so they're kind of just sitting here at these 2-second gaps, not getting in each other's spray so no one can really get a grip handle on it. Oh, so here are the wipers going full blast.
Yeah, it must be just a glitch from Colin Suggs' point of view in his Porsche there then.
Because I don't know, with the rain as heavy as it is, I want the wipers on. You imagine not having the wipers on and
be
being in the spray behind?
Yeah, that would be an absolutely brutal thing to deal with. Luckily, no such thing can happen unless maybe the button mapping suddenly goes haywire, as Colin Sugg did experience before the start of the rookies race, but he was able to get that issue sorted and get back into the races. Oh yeah, fair point. If you're racing hood and bonnet cam, you don't need the wipers on. So maybe that is what Colin Sugg is doing, and he's racing from the hood cam and avoiding the wipers altogether.
Beachley in the pits.
And yeah, you're right. Beachley, finally, the top two cave in, and Beachley pits just before the 10-minute mark of the race. And he will be in the first grid box, so he is able to go out on track and give it the beans as soon as he exits the pit lane. Austin Doyle and Neil Kerbel will be the drivers to watch behind. Neil Kerbel has had a pretty strong last lap, nearly matching his personal best in the session despite the rain picking up, and Austin Doyle falling back a little bit, but still providing good lap times. And now they are going down the main straight, and it looks like Austin Doyle is going to get the position. Justin Beachley just now getting dropped, and he gets released from the pit lane. The headlights coming through the pits. Neil Kerbel and Justin Beachley are going to go side by side as they exit, but Neil Kerbel with the straight line speed gets up into the top three.
Wow. What a recovery drive by Kerbel. What a recovery drive. That is absolutely insane. To have been almost dead last and turned around in corner one to now being up into the final podium position, which now Beachley has to fight for, when it all but looked signed, sealed, and delivered. What an amazing comeback drive by Kerbel. But
yeah,
sadly, it won't be enough.
It won't be enough, but it's still fantastic display of skill from the driver in second place in the championship. If the undercut is working like this, could Rivera be in trouble? I really don't think so, because Rivera was able to put in those consistent laps at the front and a bit of insider knowledge. Justin Beachley's pit stop was around 5 seconds longer than Neil Kerbel and Austin Doyle, so maybe Justin Beachley thinking he has the tire advantage with the fresh wets towards the closing stages of the race. Just 8 minutes to go. He really needs to put those tires to good use if he wants to get by Neil Kerbel and take that final podium position away from the McLaren. Ricardo Rivera in the pits.
Ricardo Rivera can get out of the car and have a cup of tea. There's no way he gets past here by Doyle. If he gets past here by Doyle, I'm about to go do a shoey myself.
That would just show the pace of Austin Doyle behind. He does have a best lap time very similar to Ricardo Rivera's, and it looks like just on the few laps I was tuned into, just not quite as consistent as Austin Doyle would have liked to try and get the massive overcut done for the lead. But Ricardo Rivera in the pits from the lead, comes out of the pits in the lead as well. Has a pretty substantial gap to Austin Doyle behind. It should be right around 13 seconds if my timing charts are correct here. But Austin Doyle is gonna come under increasing pressure from Neil Kerbel and Justin Beachley behind.
Oh yeah. This battle isn't over by any stretch of the imagination. This battle, I like it. It's honestly at the same stage as what Chronotis, Freeman, and Provolone were at. They're kind of all within 2 seconds of one another, and no one's really getting in the spray yet of one another, which I guess for Kerbel's okay. He gets the podium position, but like, I think he knows he could have raced for Rivera today. He definitely could have raced him. And it's unfortunate, but again, a very good recovery drive from Kerbel. Definitely hats off to Kerbel there for not DNFing, especially when he knows it's a championship fight.
Yeah, 100%. Always love to see the determination of the drivers to see the checkered flag even after seeing an incident like that, especially so early on in the race. But with the incident being so early on, at the same time, he does have all of the race to recover, and recover he did all the way up into a podium position. Is Neil Kerbel from last at the back of the pack. He is trying to chase down Austin Doyle in the closing stages of the spring season finale around Bathurst. The wet conditions really coming into play. I'm surprised they let a helicopter fly to get footage of all these drivers going around here. But nonetheless, safety thrown out the window here. No race director stopping us in these wet and wild conditions, with Ricardo Rivera leading the way. 18 laps completed, should be 19 as he crosses the line for another go around. 5 minutes left on the clock, should be time enough for 3 laps for the season finale here.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a season. Now, again, still not over, but it's definitely been a season, and I'd personally like to thank everyone that watched along through these races. First full season doing commentary for the GT4s, and it's been a hell of a blast, and I hope they renew my contract for next year, because it's a blast. Maybe I'll join West Coast Wednesdays. We'll never know.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a super fun season all season long, from the rookies to the open, from race 1 all the way here to round 8 at Bathurst. Lots of ups and downs from everybody. A couple of DNFs we've seen. A couple of races missed, but we do have that drop round in the championship. And yeah, Purple J, your heart sinks when it happens in turn 1. You've put all the time into practice and practically over within 10 seconds. And like we have been saying throughout the broadcast, kudos to Neil Kerbel for carrying on and finding himself in 3rd place in the race, avoiding any further chaos and any further trouble. But still 4 minutes on the clock, and these wet conditions can still change anything.
Definitely, these wet conditions aren't immune. Was that a cheese man almost in the wall? I feel like that was cheese man almost in the wall, but I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. I'm gonna pretend I moved on. I didn't just see a cheese slice slammed up against a wall like that. Again, not as much death as I thought was going to be for these wet conditions, to be honest. I mean, there being more death in the rookies makes sense, given, you know, they're rookies and all that, but credit to all the drivers. There's significantly less death than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah,
especially in these wet conditions.
Yeah, 100% kudos to all these drivers for sticking it out for these treacherous conditions and showing us just how skillful just how much skill it takes to get around the mountain in these wet conditions. The rookies showing us in the dry conditions how good racing can be around here, and the open showing us the skill it takes to get around in these treacherous conditions with the rain pouring down. Professor Chronotis cooling the tires, taking off the racing line, getting as much heat removed from the tires as possible before the braking zone, where the grip is really needed, and that is helping him maintain 6th place over the Aston Martin of Alex Freeman and Jason Provolone behind. Colin Sugg in a strong top 10 position here too.
Yeah, by no stretch of the imagination, it's like again, this is just an excellent drive from all the drivers involved here. As we are gonna, this is not the last lap, folks, sadly, unless Ricardo Rivera pretty much stops on the track, but with 10 seconds, he kind of can't really afford to do that, sadly. So with that being said, we continue to drive on, the wipers being absolutely flown from Alex Freeman, like hands cheering for his Carolina Hurricanes, which hold a 3-1 series lead over Doyle's Washington Capitals. A little bit of infighting rivalry, but however, as much as Carolina currently holds the series lead 3-1, Doyle holds the best position on track with P2 versus P7 for Freeman.
Yeah, P2 for Doyle, P7 for Freeman, Purple J for newcomers like myself. How do we apply to race if we want to join the rookies? So there are signups open on simgrid.com. I believe if you type in !SimGrid, that'll take you to a link to the Trackalicious overall SimGrid, and there are all the championships there to sign up. But with this season coming to an end there, I'm sure there will be an announcement in the Discord. So be sure to join that to keep up to date with the announcement of the upcoming summer championships.
Be interested to see what the tracks are.
Red
So
Bull
yes,
Ring
in
is,
short,
like,
SimGrid
happy.
or Discord are the best places to go, Purple J. Hope you've been enjoying the racing so far and looking forward to seeing you out on track with us in the next season.
Oh, I can't wait to absolutely bully this man on track.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just gonna absolutely just roast him on track for his driving now every single time. Look at this Purple J car in the wall. What is he doing? As that is the final lap. Oh, I was like, who just pulled over? And I do believe that was Dr. Porkchop. So not the end of the race just yet, folks. We still have one more final lap to go. It was just Dr. Porkchop pulling away at the side. You'll be saying that a lot. No, we're a lot nicer here, especially with the rookies. You all still learned it. The open drivers don't get as much leeway from me. I'm very much a little bit of an abuser to them, but they know I love them still. So unless a bolt of lightning strikes the track and kills somebody, I think the positions here are going to stay the same.
Yeah, pretty much from start to finish. It's been a pretty wild ride around this wet and wild Bathurst for the most part, but the 12 drivers still out on track, able to keep the cars pointed in the right direction. The 787 is approaching the 777 for blue flag traffic as they head down the mountain. One more challenge for Ricardo Rivera remains. The lapped traffic of Brian DeSantiago, and the championship will be done and dusted for him. Those two are now going through the forest's elbow. Brian DeSantiago letting the championship leader and the race winner come through as he can soak it in as he goes through the Conrad Straight for the final time in the season finale. Just 4 corners left. The kink at the chase, which he takes flat out here into the braking zone of the right-left complex, which he once again handles with ease, as he has done every corner all season long. Absolutely commanding performance from start to finish from the Puerto Rico E-Racing Club McLaren, driven by Ricardo Rivera. Closing out the championship with a high, taking the checkered flag in P1 in the wet and wild Bathurst round 8.
What a commanding drive by Ricardo Rivera. Austin Doyle gets a nice deserved P2 where he started in the beginning of the season. Neil Kerbel with a fantastic comeback drive. Falls short of the championship win, but gets to step on the podium for P3. Beachley, another podium, sadly slipping through his grasp, will get P4. Ramon Torres, in a land of his own, will sit P5, the red flag waving after the checkered flag to signify the drivers get the frick off the track. It is dangerous enough we let you drive here. And then that's Professor Chronotis in P6, Alex Freeman in P7, Mr. Cheeseman himself, Jason Provolone in P8, Colin Sugg P9, Velez 10, DeSantiago finished 11th, Dr. Porkchop finished 12th. All these drivers deserve a round of applause for sticking it out through these conditions. And Ricardo Rivera, congratulations. The GT4 Open Championship is yours.
Yeah, well deserved as well. Finishing on a high note here with the race win. A couple of drivers thwarted him a couple of times from the race win, but he has put that aside. And Eric Velez, the last of the drivers to take the checkered flag, finishing in 10th place in the Camaro. Church, Reed, Georgeson, and Martino unfortunately not being able to take the checkered flag in the 16 car grid here this evening to round out the championship. And we would, of course, like to invite our top 3 into the green room for a quick chat of the race and the championship itself. Congratulations once again to Ricardo Rivera for taking home the championship and the prize from Next Level Racing as well.
Yep, that haptic gaming pad is in his alone control with. Professor Cardona said he thought we had one more. How does the man running the schedule not know what like the final race of the season is? That's crazy. that's actually just insane. Oh, there's Ricardo Rivera in the green room, so we'll bring him in bring in the other drivers as we come along. But the champion of the GT4 Open Championship, ladies and gentlemen, Ricardo Rivera. Congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll bring it on.
Quite nice conditions to finish the season.
Nice conditions, yeah, sure. Whatever you say there, Ricardo. We brought in now a good strong finish for him, and then we'll bring in Neil Kerbal, a good strong comeback P3 finish. Kerbal, that missile was aiming for Ricardo, and you blocked it.
Yeah, what happened? Like, I didn't even know who hit me.
It was Torres behind, but it was just so slight. Like, you were just in front, and it almost looked like just a touch of maybe like even netcode, but nonetheless, it was just the slightest bit of contact, and with the wet conditions, it looked like it just spun you right around.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I had nobody to the left of me, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to turn in, and then suddenly I was the wrong way around.
Yeah, no, that missile was aimed right for Ricardo Rivera too, and Kerbal just turns in.
I was worried about having Torres behind me, to be honest, in the race start.
You're just like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
But actually, I'm looking at the replay. Yeah, his car like jumped like, I don't know, like 2 cars in front. Like, so it moved a lot. Like, I don't know.
There's definitely a situation like. How are you guys able to push and continue to concentrate, not only with Bathurst being the difficult circuit that it is, but in the wet and also starting to become night? Like, talk to me through your experiences, especially with Doyle and Kerbal, who had to race other cars.
The spray was terrible.
Yep.
Yeah, every time I would catch Beachley, I would just get lost in the spray and then almost hit a wall. So, yeah, I don't know. It was mainly luck. Just good pit strategy is what got me where I was.
It was also significantly affected by the headlights. I swear I was following, I forget who it was, but like all I saw, my entire front screen was just white.
Oh my gosh.
Your cat is not happy that you lost the champion, Kerbal. Your cat is not happy.
Yeah, well, suck it, Teddy.
Ricardo, were you ever worried that you were going to lose the championship at all at this point, at any point during the season?
No.
Be honest. Be honest.
No. I think I needed just a top 10 in this race to win the championship. So
yep.
I wasn't like that worried at all. And the only 2 races that I lost was with people that only race that particular track, and that's it. Yeah,
no, definitely. You definitely earned yourself the championship, and congratulations to you there, Doyle. What a season for you, though. P2 to start, P2 to end. Any complaints?
Wish I was a little more consistent during the middle of it, but it is what it is. It's a good way to end. I know I'm pretty strong at Bathurst. I was strong last year or last season. Now I can't wait for the next season though.
Yeah,
what are your expectations?
Yeah, I was gonna say, super strong performance in the Open coming from the rookies from last season, also Austin. So just want to say congrats on that. So yeah, super strong and looking forward to what you can bring next season also.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Tyler.
It's okay. Ricardo, are you joining us again next season, or is you're riding off into the sunset?
I hope he rides off into the sunset. No disrespect. Respect.
Actually, I want to dedicate more time to LMU. So
You know what?
I don't know if I.
Oh my gosh.
So Doyle, championship aspirations are on your mind.
Doyle's like praying at his altar. Please let this man leave. I respect him as a legend, but please let this man leave.
I will have to talk with Eric about salary expectations to see if I join next season or not.
Well, we'll definitely have to see, but congratulations to the podium sitters, you guys. Ricardo Rivera, congrats on your championship win. You win the gaming pad from Next Level Racing. So, congrats on your prize.
Yeah, thanks. Hoping to try it out.
Yeah, I just got one question to kind of wrap the whole championship as a whole. We'll start with this is the same question to everyone, but we'll start with Neil and work our way up to Ricardo, the podium sitters. What was the highlight and what was the low light of the season here?
I mean, just for position wise, I always enjoy Snetterton, and it was nice that Ricardo Rivera didn't show up. So that was my highlight. And then probably this race is my low.
Yeah, fair enough. Throw it to you, Austin.
Definitely the lowest of the low was the Hungaroring. That was just I don't even want to talk about that race.
Fair
that
enough.
That race lives in my nightmares right now. And honestly, highlight probably this race. It's second time I've ever driven in the rain in ACC also.
Awesome.
And I just love Bathurst as a track. I love going there.
Last but not least, we'll throw it to you, Ricardo.
I will say low. What Kinglands? I got humbled there by a Maserati. And well, the high, I don't know. I think I was pretty consistent like the rest of the races. So I don't know. Overall, the remaining races as a Watkins, what I was actually like, I don't had any other pace to find to be able to win that race at all.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys once again for joining us in the stream room here tonight. Thanks for all the action you guys have been providing us all season long as well. Ricardo Rivera, huge congrats on the championship win, getting that prize from Next Level Racing. Also, I'm sure Eric will be in touch with you guys for that. And Austin, great season from you coming from the rookies. Really looking forward to what comes next. And Neil, again, a really strong showing how you can work your way through the field in that last race, but showing you a really strong pace all season long. Really looking forward to what happens in the summer season coming up.
Yeah, thanks for streaming it, you guys. Really appreciate the commentary.
Thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody that raced, and thanks for everybody who watches.
The love is gathered round and sent away. Thank you guys so much. I'll throw my final thoughts in here.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, how about you? For you, yeah, let's do a highlight, low light, and kind of anything in between. Anything you want to do. Wrap up the season. We've got 8 races under our belts.
Honestly, I honestly genuinely can't think of a low light. Like, it's been so fun getting to commentate and watch these rookies grow. Like, I've watched Austin Doyle go last season from a rookie dominating that series to going into the Open, kind of getting a little bit of a piece of humble pie this season, but showing the prospected power and all the moments, all the crazy passes, the 5-way car battles. Like, there's just been so much that happened this season that you can't really put it all into one like favorite highlight, especially from me. So like, I guess the highlight is just the fans, the people. They what make us be able to commentate and do these races for them. So I just want to thank everybody that watched this season. And we hope to have you back for the summer series. And I hope to be back for the summer series in the GT4s because, man, the action is intense.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The low light for me is definitely being on the back end of all the commentators' curses and being responsible for ruining a few races for maybe a few people. So that's probably been the low light, I would say, in the commentators' booth. But the highlight, yeah, I would say, is definitely all the participation from everybody, be it the chat, be it the drivers. We really couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you for providing us with all of the on-track action and all of the chat as well for when there's really not too much on-track action, keeping us entertained, giving us all the hydrates, making us redeem those fun facts on boards, getting those livery deep dives as well. So thank you guys for watching along and kind of really participating with it as well. So it's we really couldn't do without you guys. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts here in the Trackalicious booth for watching us all season long, taking clips, putting those into the Discord as well. We've got friends working in the background, making those highlight videos of all of the passes and saves. We've seen absolutely plenty in tonight's race and all season long from both the rookies and the open. And I'm really looking forward to what the next batch of rookies can do out on track and what the recently promoted rookies will be able to do in the Open Championship as well as that calendar gets revealed. And just a real quick before the end here, let's take a look at the remaining races left in the Trackalicious calendar for the springtime. Season comes to an end here in Monday GT4 Rookies and Open. The prize in the rookies went to Brian DeSantiago, the random participant who completed in 7 of the 8 races in the rookies, and the championship winner in the Open, Ricardo Rivera, getting the prize of a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. Thank you very much to them for providing that for our wonderful participants in the GT4 races. The Tuesday season of Le Mans Ultimate will be wrapping up tomorrow at Le Mans for a 60-minute multi-class race starting at 8:30 Eastern Time with the qualifying session. Then on Wednesday, we throw it back to ACC for the late night West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship beginning at 11 p.m. Eastern with qualifying. That is also going to be the season finale, going to South Africa at Kailami, I should say, for a 50-minute race. Championship coming to a close as well in the iRacing Mixed GT3 and GT4 Championship, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time, heading to the infamous Spa-Francorchamps for the season finale, the 60-minute race. The Le Mans Ultimate Series has concluded on Fridays, and there is no racing on Saturdays. And that just leaves the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship on Sundays, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time with qualifying before heading to an 80-minute race around Watkins Glen this coming weekend. And the winner of that series will win a Next Level Racing ERS4 Fabric and Sim Aero Mesh Edition seat for their sim rig. Huge shout out to Next Level Racing for providing those fantastic prizes for the drivers here at Trackalicious. We really couldn't do it without all the support from everybody in the background. Big thanks to Eric for letting us in the commentators booth have fun all season long with the rookies and the open. Thanks to Tyler for joining me all season long, providing me some company and some laughs and some good conversation as well along the way. I think we've really found a good flow here together, and we hope you have all certainly enjoyed the action we have provided to you all season long. Big thank you to the drivers. Big thank you to all the chatters. Be on the look on the Discord for the new season coming up. And from one sim racing community to another, let's show our love and support to our friend, This Dad's Bad, doing some iRacing streaming at the moment. Be sure to say hello, say Trackalicious sent you, and he will certainly show the love back. He's a good friend of the program. He knows what's up. And that is going to put a wrap on the season here in the spring GT4 Rookies and Open. I have been Kuja Terekov alongside Tyler Morgan, And that is us checking out for the season, and we will see you in the summer.